Testing. So if there's anyone at YouTube, you just a quick sign in, say hello.
The Stolen Bar.
Oh,
please
Stolen
listen
Bar,
to the
mate.
following audio
Both,
clip.
mate. Okay, mate. So we'll go to my videos, live, and hopefully the stream is working. So let's see.
Audio clip.
Okay, mate. Yeah. So if anyone's around to my videos, live, just please comment here that you can see and hear everything. So let's see. I'd appreciate that. It looks like it's probably so if anyone's around, a 20 or 30-second delay like yesterday. It's not wholly problematic. So if anyone's around, I know there's 2 people watching, so if that second person watching can just say hello in the chat. Tell me you can see and hear me okay. I'd appreciate that. You can see 2 watching now. So that second person, the other person is me, of course. So please say hello in the chat. Tell me you can see and hear me. I'd appreciate that. Otherwise, I don't know. Okay, so I do need your feedback. Thank you. So it's a very early start. It's a 1:30 for the official start of the live chat. So I've got to remember I'm broadcasting, so no swearing loudly or anything else. So again, please, that second person watching, could you just please say hello in the chat? Please. I know you can hear me. I can see that there. So just please say hello in the chat. Don't be shy. Tell me you can see and hear me okay. I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. So it looks like we're up and running. Excellent stuff. Fingers crossed this will all work well today. Oh, well, just the one person watching now. Okay, right. Could someone please pop over to the Football Trading Profits YouTube channel? I've got the stream running in test mode at the moment. I just need somebody to give me some feedback. Make sure you can see and hear the screens okay. And that would be great. So if you can see all of the screens, just me watching at the moment. So if anyone's up and around, go to youtube.com/@Football Trading Profits. Check out the live stream. Just let me know that you can see and hear it okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Testing. 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 So you can see the testing. 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 So we'll be looking for Augsburg to potentially get a winner. Second half, if you want to lay that draw, lower odds. Thank you, 3 of you watching. So I would appreciate some feedback. Potentially get a winner. Second half, if you want to lay that draw. The sound is good. Nice and clear. Yeah, thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you, 3 of you watching. So I would appreciate some feedback. Potentially get a winner. Thank you very much, Colin. Appreciate that. The sound is good. So I'm going to go now. Nice and clear. Emails. Yeah, thank you very much, Stephen. In-play scanner. Can you see all of that? Okay. And of course, we've got Soccer 24, and what I'll do, I'm just going to mute that. It's nice and clear sound. I like this sound. It looks like I found a decent streaming service, so that's good. There is a matter of about a 20 or 30-second delay. There's a delayed echo, says Rich. Okay. Well, I've deleted my comment. You can see and hear that there was an echo in a previous conversation. Right, okay. That's probably Mango and Rich when I had this sound on. So has that disappeared now that I've got rid of the mute? Because you were hearing my previous talking and then my talking in real time. So having got rid of or muted the sound here, you should just be hearing the one voice now. So please let me know if that's the case. Mango and Rich, I'd appreciate that. Great. Thank you very much, Rich. And thank you, Tim. So the reason for the echo was because I had this on and I was listening to my voice earlier on. Thank you very much, Mango. Appreciate that. Brilliant stuff. So it looks like we've found a decent streaming software. Yesterday was all down to Streamlabs. I don't know what went wrong with Streamlabs between the end of last season and over the summer. It's just appalling. The whole shut down the whole computer and everything. So I found this one. It looks like we're okay at the moment. So thank you very much for all your feedback and for coming along early. Not much really to pass on to you, as you can see. In-play stats are going to play a very, very important part this season. Got to lay Sheffield Sunderland at 3-0. You saw yesterday with the Blades that they were 2-0 up. And I was ruining not passing that on to you yesterday. 2-0 lead for Sheffield United early, very early. A bit like today, 1.7 favourite. 1.7 favourite, and they drew 2-2, even with a red card. So Sunderland are even bigger odds today at 2.2. It's a lay to nothing. It's 1.03. It's going to cost you tuppence halfpenny to find out, and that's the kind of lay that I like. Augsburg, expecting a winner from them, but we've had a lot of, and it keeps coming up, doesn't it? The underdog scores first and the Bundesliga side equalise. That was the main trade, and I missed that by seconds. I was going to pass that on to you, but the goal came as I got to the match, which was a real pity. Club Brugge started brightly against Antwerp, but no shots on target yet. This is one of those big clashes, I would suspect. A bit of a derby-style match, so worth keeping an eye on, because Antwerp can't really be discounted. They were pretty solid. We won't be playing Ethiopian coffee today, I'm afraid. I know there's a lot of Ethiopian coffee fans out there, but I don't think I'll be looking there. Football 24's app, by the way, at least for me, has been awful. I don't know what it is with me and tech, but I'm using Football 24, the actual website now, for my live stream, live score stream. Football24.com. That's what I'll be using on a telephone rather than going into a different tab. And you can pick your leagues as well. So, for example, I'm going to ignore all the Australians, Armenians, etc. Work down in alphabetical order. First one, Danish Super League, English Championship, Finnish Veikkausliiga, and this can really narrow your point of view to make sure that we're just focusing on scorelines that are of some importance to us, rather than getting the Kuwaiti First Division, the Mawalese Super League, the Mongolian Premier League. We don't need any of that. Norwegian Elite Serie and Polish One League, still worth following. Romanian One League as well. Scottish League Cup today. The German Bundesliga. There we go, 4-0 to Sunderland. So it looks as if they're up and running. So don't worry. It's a 1.03 lay. Cost me about £2.50. And there's the Augsburg goal. If you laid the draw in that Augsburg match, well done. It's an absolutely superb competition for following these favourites. And we've hit it at the right time because the German Bundesliga begins next week. And these guys, quite obviously, are taking this as an opportunity to get some competitive football under their belts. Now, I'm probably going to have a bit of a break before the live chat proper starts because I need something to eat. Got some salad waiting and a drink as well. But I come on early to specifically make sure that we weren't going to meet any gremlins like yesterday. So it looks as if we're all running very smoothly, and I'll go back to YouTube. Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate. Thank you, Tim, Rich, Mango, and Colin and Stephen. Thank you all very much for your feedback there. Looks as if it's going to be working fine today. A really good find, that bit of kit. So I'm delighted with it. I'll go back to the live stream, the live scores, as I'm just setting up Football 24 with the leagues of importance. So I'm working my way down. Make sure we're only focusing on leagues of importance. Portuguese Primeira Liga, for example. Spanish Primera Division, Swedish Superettan. We'll just get a cursory glance. Swiss Cup. Cup matches have been great these past few days, particularly our German friends. So well worth following there. Working our way through down again. No Brazils, Chile, Colombia, Croatia, HLO1 League, worth following. Czech Republic League as well. English League 2. But you saw yesterday my visit to Scottish League 2 ended disastrously. That's the problem with going down to these lower tiers. A total and utter lack of confidence in the ability of these teams. You compare that to Alvaro Morata coming on for AC Milan to make that 2-2 from 0-2 down. That's more like it, isn't it? Alvaro Morata versus Clyde's centre forward. I know which one I would trust. No offence to the Clyde striker, alleged striker, should be. Didn't actually turn up yesterday. Dominated the match completely. I call it the Mr. Magoo. It's either Mr. Magoo, Blind Lemon Sam, and Stevie Wonder, the front three for Clyde yesterday. Absolutely appalling. With Coco the Clown as a false number 9, I think, for them. Apologies to any Clyde fans out there. It cost me a lot of money yesterday. I think it was about 170 quid it cost me. But I made a nice profit at the end of the day. So I upped my stakes on that one because it looked so compelling. But it fell flat. Sunderland 4-0 we can get rid of. Nuremberg have scored first against Saarbrücken, so we're not going to get any surprises there. So let me have a break from this stream now. I don't know how to have a break from it. Muting. This is all of the stuff that you see in the background. It's completely new to me. But thankfully I solved it yesterday. We've got a microphone working okay. It's all... I've had a problem with the laptop turning off as well when the screen moves. And we've got... that's Grenoble Beggins, the Swiss Cup. So that doesn't interest me at all. I've got the Swiss Cup up and ready for the big guns. Don't forget, if you get any 1.05 shots, 1.04 shots in the cup today, you can have a bit of fun. You saw Drogs, didn't you? 9-0 the other day. So any 1.03 shots get stuck in. So I will leave you at the moment. I'm going to get a bite to eat. I shouldn't really be live yet. Live in 15 minutes time. I do appreciate your feedback, which is excellent. So thank you so much. Look at Camberley Warden, by the way. Those of you who want a late lay of Helmond, in the Easter Divisie. 12 shots on, 4 off and 8 corners with a red card. Let's move on to that one quickly. Camberley Warden. Let's have a look. Camberley Warden. Probably the end of the match. But that's the kind of thing to target. Very late action, a red card in play, and multiple shots on target. But we just didn't get there. Well, we got there in time because it saved us a bit of cash. So we'll be sorting all that. Djurgården were pretty good in Europe midweek against Ilves, 3-1 win. They're back in domestic action today. I haven't researched, and I'm not researching the Allsvenskan anymore. I know it enough that we can get a possible play out of this. So that's the sound of Football 24. So I'll just turn that down a little bit. That was Elfsborg scoring first against Mjällby in the Allsvenskan. Degerfors must have Damien playing for them up front from the Omen. Looking good. Pre-match odds, always my first cue. See what the market thought of this. 2.38 the favourite. So the market didn't have a clue. 6 shots on, 6 shots off. Do check the timing. 2 shots on target, 2 shots off target, and 3 corners. So they are the dominant force here, Degerfors. The goals were scored in the first half. Possibility of that draw layable, but again, Scottish second league syndrome with the Superettan. For example, we had the likes of Kongsvinger, league leaders, losing 4-0 to 15th in the league while at home. Touch of the old Clydes about that. So just let me have a break now. I'm just going to get bite to eat. Keep an eye on Brommer as well against Hacken. 1 shot on, 2 off and 3 corners. So just a small break for me now. I will leave this on. It's not an official live stream until 1:30 p.m. So I'm going to make myself a nice coffee drink and get a bite to eat. See you in a sec. Right, Silkeborg. Okay. Got my salad. Got 5 minutes to eat it. So Augsburg dominating Dagger Falls. Did you get that equaliser? Well, it wasn't equaliser, was it? No. 6 shots on 7 off. 7 corners. Are you tempted to lay the draw? Don't forget, Super Etten, be prepared to lose. One of those lowly leagues. Kenyon Police, I think we can say goodbye to them. Czech 1 League is well worth following, as is the Super League in Denmark. Silkeborg and Nordland in-play stats. Knox County against Fleetwood Town. Pure in-play stats for this one. 2.25 the favourite. Very tough for the market to pick. DBS Pokal, while Nuremberg have taken the lead, so that's no surprise. We'll get rid of that one. Malawi. Pek Zwolle final. Well, with PSV winning earlier on, and Arnie Slot less Feyenoord taking on newly promoted from a couple of seasons ago, Pek Zwolle, along with Heracles, newly promoted a couple of seasons ago. Willemsvee against Go Ahead Eagles, 2.63 the favourite. Tough to call. Brann, pretty solid unit in the Eliteserien. Won't play the Reserve League. Polish 1 League is worth our attention. Elfsborg have the lead against Mjällby, and that's Randers scoring first against Sonder. So Servette 1.03. So that's going to test. If you want to play those, go to the bookies. either 5-0, 7-0, 9-0, or 4-0, 6-0, 8-0, or a combination. But I would tend to do just 3 score lines and hope for the best. 1.03, you never know. Although Dortmund yesterday did concede, which spoilt the fun a little bit. But they did get a 4-goal haul. And that's what we expect of them. So we'll just keep this going. Looks like it's running okay at the moment. Good stuff. So we'll be looking to solve the 0-2 issue today, if that arises. It would have been a good one, Augsburg, I think. It's one of John H's excellent ideas. I haven't been able to improve upon it. So we've had a lot of 0-2s coming at the beginning of the season, and they do cost. Thankfully, some of them you get to rely on some really solid strikers. Sorry, I was just wanted to go back a page. Or back a day. You know this yesterday. I was asleep by the time I'd given up, basically. I'd written off my loss. And I woke up very happy. 0-2 yet again. So when you're doing insurance, I was swearing at this bloke, that's for sure. That's when I went to bed after that. Q, Alvaro Morata, one of the first subs, and Okafor, the second sub. I don't know if he's a centre forward. He is. Noah, my old mate Noah. Noah Okafor. Brilliant display from him yesterday. Got you out of jail with a 2-2. Absolutely fantastic stuff. So that's the absolute ideals when you get a 2-0 deficit. And had I been awake, I would have put forward a late lay of Torino. So just getting this salad finished. Premier League is a little difficult today, isn't it? We've got a couple of derby matches. We've got a London derby, Brentford against Palace. Now, I'd have been all over Palace had they kept Elise, because you'll see what they did last season. As soon as that new manager arrived, he got them and he got Elise scoring an absolute shed load of goals. They were hugely impressive the back end of last season. Crystal Palace under this new manager. I wonder if you can tell me when he arrived. We'll have a look. Top 10. They could be even better this season if they've got an able replacement for Elise, who I think's gone to Bayern Munich. But if you look at this, 5-2 London derby, 4-3-5. Who's scoring? Elise, Matata. Elise again. It's 2 there. 1 there. So if they've kept Jean-Philippe Matata and Eberechi easy, and this is all under the new manager, what a contrast. That's the power of new managers. It's a brilliant display. And for those of you just arriving at the live chat, I started it half an hour early, so I'm a bit behind with my, well, it's dinner for me, but it'll be lunch for you. So, welcome. My apologies for chewing away. I'll be finished pretty soon. So these are the matches to look out for at the moment. We can get rid of that one. Augsburg, job done. Now I've got a bit of money on them, bigger money. So I might have to cash out of that if it's a reasonable amount. Well, 37.80, 92 to 17. Yeah, that'll do me, I think. I don't want to be caught out by a 2-2, so I will take that. And what I did on this occasion, I upped my stake, as you can see, 180 quid. I covered the 1-1 by laying over 2.5 goals, and then I backed there. So it's not the greatest profit in the world, but it's a profit. And as you saw the video today, you've seen I've been in a bit of form of late. Thankfully, the profit and loss is starting to tick away nicely, as you can see here. And this was included the Clyde loss yesterday. So it's working quite nicely at the moment. The best profit being made at the weekends, as you can see there. But I'm ticking away each day. Bit of a loss here because I took a big hit right at the beginning of my session and I had to win it all back. So I was only £18 shy of that. Similar story with this one. Took another big hit and got it back up. That was a good day yesterday. Long day, but a good day. So we're up and running. Got that one sorted. So we'll get back to this one. And we'll keep an eye on the in-play stats as the matches progress. So Augsburg I don't need to look at anymore, but those of you who laid the draw, make sure you cash out. So we'll give that a miss. Now you'll note with Degerfors they've had 2 consecutive score draws, but they haven't scored that second goal against Braga in the last 3 matches. But are you more compelled with them today? Four shots on target second half. Feyenoord have already scored against Pek Zwolle as expected. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, again, half shots second half and 7 corners second half. So a lot of pressure for Degerfors. The only negative I have is the league. It's really not a strong league. So the draw is currently odds on, which is a positive. But if you fancy Degerfors, you could even start backing them. What I call drip backing. This is an example of drip backing. I'm using Fairbot. Click on the profit box here. So that's the amount you want to win. Rather than the drip laying, you could always drip back as their odds increase. And don't forget there's a 12-second gap here. So there's going to be a bit of a wait to get on. And you'll see the liability is relatively high still at £1.96 for that. So the liability can increase very quickly, which I don't like. So that's why I like delaying, to get these odds as high as possible, get these odds as low as possible. But if you follow the in-play stats, it does look like one-way traffic. But it's the only negative here is the league. And if you want to check out Degerfors this season, go to the Swedish Superettan here. Well, you can check out their form this season. Get rid of all these pop-ups. Do let me know in the comments, please, as well, if I disappear at any stage, because this is new kit for me, and it might not work. So Degerfors 1-1. We'll just look at whether they've got a reputation for scoring 2+ goals at home. So scroll down there. Challenge table, if it's available, indeed. So tells you immediately the story of their season. Here's a story of my salad season, so excuse me for a sec. Okay. So most notably, they scored 2+ goals and all by one. home match against third and lower. Compelling stuff. Only a 1-0 win last time these two met. Braga looked to be very solid defensively. Only conceded 2 goals once away from home. So it is your typical top 5 clash, this. Are you more taken by Degerfors' 2 goals pattern, or are you a bit wary that the away side are very solid defensively, only conceding 2 goals once? Add in the fact that this is the Superettan, which is the lower tier in Sweden, and it's not as easy to pick Degerfors, is it, now, knowing that the away side are pretty solid defensively. You can have an idea of if Degerfors hit, well, there you go. So that might be of interest. 75th minute. And if you look at 75% of goals conceded away by Braga have come second half. But that perhaps is the standout or the entry point, 75th minute onwards. And if you do that, you're going to get lower odds. We're indeed in that place now. 75th to 90th minute is where Degerfors tend to do their scoring. Now, I don't want to force you too much into this because it is a poor league. So let's just see if we can get this even lower. Don't forget, these are bookmakers' odds, so they're going to be far shorter than what you're going to get on Betfair. You can see there. So the draw odds are getting lower and lower. You could start with just £1. Costs you 60p to lay. Look at the difference between the back and lay odds, suggesting in a liquid market. Want to keep liability low because it's such a poor league. So are you willing to commit to losing a specific amount of money here in the hope of winning a bit more? You could even just change this to £2. Just try to nick £2 here and there. That'll cost, what, about £1, will it, to win £2? Oh, this is a big 20-second delay now, so that's troublesome as well. You'll note that 20-second delay. So it's taking a while for the bet to be placed. Hopefully the odds will go up in that 20 seconds. So let's just check that out. There we go. So got a £3 liability for a £7 profit. Just building it up slowly. And Djurgården have conceded first against AIK. 2.2 pre-match favourite, though they're not hugely favoured. Very good salad. Helps the old brain cells. So while I'm here, let's pick up some odds on favourites. They'll all go into the My Games facility here. So what we're doing here is we're relying on the market. You know the drill. 3-0, 3-1, any other away score. What's the score? It's well, it was a lead for Heracles, so as you know, I missed that. I came in about here. Already Feyenoord 1-0 up. So just collect your odds on favourites. Ajax, again, Knack Breda, watching side, a bit like Benfica, turning into a bit of a selling side, Ajax. But notably, I did check out their transfer news, and it wasn't a wholesale exit this year. Maybe they learnt their lesson from last year where they had an appalling start to the season. Only got good in the second half. They also have a small matter of European football next week as well, Ajax, I think. So they might underperform, particularly away from home this weekend. So you click on Ajax's name and you'll see transfers. Normally there's a wholesale exit as all of the best talent is taken. But as you can see here, only really Francisco Conceição, Mikhail Tadze to Metz for 13 million. That's relatively big for Ajax, and Rulli. So it's the vast majority of the side from last season staying on, which is a positive, but not many coming in. A few threes. Jordan Henderson, as you know. And that's it, really. So watching brief for Ajax, particularly with upcoming European fixtures, and this is the website for that as well. uk.soccerway.com. You'll see they're playing Jagiellonia Białystok, the champions of Poland, on the 22nd. So next weekend, well, it's postponed. So that could be a deliberate act to make sure that they get through the Europa League. Sandwich weekend next weekend, so got to be careful with that as well. Degerfors, 9 shots on, 8 off and 11 corners. This is the time where they score. They've scored 6 goals second half in this time period. The longer we delay, the lower the odds to lay, as you can see, and we can nick a bit more. Drip back, Degerfors. Don't forget 22 seconds. Take another quid out of this. Cost 40p.
This market has been suspended.
That's the Augsburg match, I think. Over. I think. So was I right to cash out? Is it a Victoria Berlin goal? We don't know. So there we go. We've got double figures at least all the time, keeping that liability as low as possible. So you're primed if Degerfors do score, as they tend to do in the last 15 minutes of home matches. So wait on that with interest. Compelling second half stats. It's one-way traffic, basically. The only negative, as you know, is playing in these lowly leagues can lose you money.
This market has been suspended.
Let's see what's happened there. You can see as well, Brummer in the Allsvenskan, 3 shots on, 5 off and 5 corners. 2.88 the favourite. Sorry, 2.20 the favourite, Häcken earlier on. But it's what happens in play that trumps pre-match research, isn't it? Brann are warming up nicely against Fred in the Elitserien. If you want to look, we can research these in play rather than pre-match. So is there any reason why Brummer are performing well?
Suspended.
We can have a quick look against Häcken. Where are they in the league? The quickest way to decipher a match is the challenge table. Yeah, 1-3 to Augsburg, so that's job done. I could have made 100% profit there, but never mind. I'm still up. So we move straight to the challenge table. And you'll see it's a mid-table clash. Brommer have been very poor against the top 9. They've yet to win. They've scored 2 goals on 2 occasions, but doesn't look compelling, does it? 4-3 the last time these two met, though. Is interesting. Häcken away from home. All over the shop, really, aren't they? Pretty poor form. You can beat 6th 3-0, but lose 3-0 to 7th. It's really not compelling form, is it? Very bitty, I think is the word. So it's in-play stats. If you rely on the in-play stats, don't forget, you can always have a tickle in the half-time market if you wanted to have a play with Brummer. And this is Degerfors. Don't forget there's a big, big delay. We're getting nice and low with our liabilities now. 12-second delay now. It's 24 previously. We'll look for another couple of quid at 7s. Should cost you 70p, 35p or something like that. So while that's occurring, we can check out. There we go. That's looking quite good. And the positive of this is if Braga score, you're still going to be making a small gain. But as you can see, we've loaded up on Degerfors here while trying to keep liability as low as possible.
This market has been suspended.
Let's have a look at Brummer. If you wanted an interest in Brommer, right, I'm not sure how to find them. Maybe Brom? No. Brommer Pochcana. Who are they playing? If they've got a shorter name, Hacken. That'll be better. Hacken. Get us to the match quicker. There we go. I did put Brommer in. It normally picks it up. So half time if you wanted a tickle, but again, it's in a liquid market. That's ridiculous. Don't take that. So lacking liquidity, really. So there's nothing we can do. Unless you want to go first half goals. This is still okay-ish. If you wanted to lay under, try to get a bit lower. That kind of thing. You never know. They have certainly dominated the first half, Brommer. They're a goal down. I wonder if we can trust them. In the meantime, Dagger Falls is coming to the end of the match, and they're at the kind of odds I like, 1.22 or lower. Dagger Falls. And then you can really go to town, knowing that your liability will remain very low indeed. 25p to win a quid. 27p to win 2 quid. That's more like it, isn't it? So try to have a predetermined maximum loss amount, because it's given the league, you're better entering these plays thinking that you're going to lose your liability. So that's a good. It's a little bit too high still for me. Had I delayed, I would have done my usual dip laying at 1.25 and lower. That's a £4 maximum liability for the chance to win 40
This market
quid.
has been suspended.
That's probably half time in the Brommer match. Notts County as well against Fleetwood Town. 92 attacking pressure index at the end of the first half.
It has been suspended.
You saw what happened with Clyde in Scottish League 2. Can we trust English League 2? Particularly when we don't have any form to work off. Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2. Just want to check. Make sure. I don't know the league that well, so I'm not sure if any of these two are newly promoted, but we know a website that does. So that will be Fleetwood.
This market has been suspended.
Quickest way to find out if they're newly promoted or newly relegated is to go to the head-to-heads here. And that's 1-4 to Augsburg, so absolutely compelling from them. Just need a glass of water. That's a bit better. Okay, so you go before the CFs, which are the friendlies, and you'll see the league they were in last season. L2, I think League 2. Hover your mouse. There we go. And got to look for Fleetwood as well. Are they newly promoted, newly relegated? Newly relegated from League 1. So they're one of our sides. Are they going to find League 2 more to their liking? Well, they are leading. So that is something you're going to have to acknowledge. The newly promoted, newly relegated side won their opener 1-0, and Notts County failed to score in their opener. So could be 2 consecutive 1-0s for Fleetwood. Newly relegated sides could dominate. Thank you very much, Robert. I'm glad you can all see and hear. Looks like got a nice bit of kit here. So, and it's all free, so I don't have to give you additional charges, which is excellent. So on paper, sorry, not on paper, but on in-play stats, Notts County could equalise. They did have a 0-0 in their opener, and Fleetwood didn't score a second in their opener. But the one niggle is the fact they're newly relegated, meaning they've been playing in the better tier for the whole season. If they can take that with them, they could really dominate English League Two and go straight back up. So we've got until second half. This, by the way, we're heading off to the Super Etton, English League Two. It's a typical Sunday coupon. But you saw last Sunday, I really struggled with the coupon because it was awful. We were dealing with these kind of sides. Jippo, Zetsu, Order Bassi, Shirley Bassi.
This market has been suspended.
Just going to look at Daggerford coming to the very, very
This
end.
market has been suspended.
Got a few suspenders. Probably half time in the Notts County Fleetwood match, perhaps. No, it is already, yeah. Daggerford. Ah, there we go. No. False alarm. What a pity. So obviously they were getting near to scoring. Or has there been a card? Because they're all the way up to 15.5. But that means your liability is going to be even lower now. Looking to win a few quid. And looking to lay a quid as well. It's going to cost you 10p. So well worth doing. Just in case they have that late flourish. But at all times, keep that liability low when you're dealing with the lower tiers. Had I done that with Clyde, I would have been a lot happier yesterday, taking the hit. Okay. So 1.06 is usually my final play. So you're dominated with the one single side that you fancy, but you're still, in case a goal is scored, you're still there with Braga. Still the liability is a little bit too high. It's because, quite simply,
This market has been suspended.
I started too early. That's probably the end of the match there. That's how I would play these lower tiers, even though it's compelling stats. Got to keep your liability low. There's just a trust issue with these teams, as I hope Clyde amply illustrated to you yesterday. We're going to have that trust issue still with Notts County, aren't we? Despite this is screaming out an equaliser. This could be a good example to show you the solution to the 0-2 problem. So why don't I use that as an example? It's an excellent idea from John H. But it's best served as soon as the goal is scored, because what we're after is both teams to score no. Because that covers 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, etc. So if you get that errant 0-2 again, that will be covered. But normally, we get a lot lower odds than this. This both teams to score no works far better when there's been a very, very early goal. 30 minutes. But I'll show you it. It's probably not a good example here because it's lacking liquidity. But I want to just show you this for illustration purposes. Okay, so don't follow me in with this play, please. I did promise you we'd look into this 2-0 issue. So what I would look is to win the amount of money you want to stake. So it's my usual £40 here. As you can see, totally illiquid. But we'll ignore that. So there we go. That's huge, by the way. Far too high. It's not going to be worth it like that. Now, for me, if you're backing 0-2, you've got to back 1-2 as well. Because if Fleetwood make it 0-2 and Notts County score to make it 1-2, you're still in a loss position. So you go to the correct score market, you back 1-2. That's far better odds. You could also back 0-2 here at 8. That's probably the better route, isn't it? So let's ignore both teams to score no, does cover the 3-0 as well on all the others. So let's get out of this. Start afresh. So we're going to do a little bit of experimentation here. Okay. So
This
we're going
market has been suspended.
This is far better because this will keep your liability low. Now, if you're using kit like Fairbot, you're going to have all of these really excellent tools at your disposal. Bets, Dutching back. So your focus will be on the 0-2 and on the 1-2. Looking to win the amount of money you want to play with. Okay, so that's liabilities far better than that 22 quid on both teams to score no. But both teams to score no, don't forget, will cover you if Fleetwood get to 0-3. Don't forget, it will also cover you at 0-1. So it's a very versatile hedging facility, both teams to score no. It covers the 0-1, so you don't have to take insurance out. That's why it's costing you more, costing you 22 quid. But here, you've got 1-2 covered,
has been suspended.
and you've got 0-2 covered. So you submit. Hopefully that gets matched. No, 1-2 didn't get matched because we're dealing with an illiquid market. 7.6 to back, 8.6 to lay. So there's no market forces at work here. There we go, that's got matched. So now we've got that covered, but we haven't got the 0-1 covered. You could either lay over 1.5 goals to cover that. How much is that going to cost you? £8.80. So the liability, or sorry, the insurance premium, so to speak, is really adding up, isn't it? Now, when you've done this, you've got 0-1 covered by this. You've got that errant 0-2 covered, haven't you? And you've got 1-2 covered. Now, you can ignore the 1-2 if you wanted to and just focus on the 0-2 because that's been our troubling scoreline. If you get the 1-2 and the goal is scored early enough, you can actually get out with a break even or a marginal loss. So I would go straight to the match odds market here now. We're using our 40, probably dividing that by 2 because our liability must equal 40. And the thing about this, you really have to make sure that your gains exceed your losses, your insurance premium. So, for example, Notts County, it's certainly if Notts County deliver, look at that, 90 quid. And you're laying Fleetwood at odds on as well, as you can see there. So, certainly you're in for a good run, but you're going to be taking a hit on the draw if it gets to 2-2. Why? You got a 3 quid on the draw, but you're also going to be losing £13 here. And you're going to be losing £8 here. So you're going to be losing a total of 21 quid, which happened to be what we were seeing here, weren't we? £21. So we're not making any savings by individually targeting. So this is a purely to do a bit of experimentation. Let's get this 0-2 covered. So we're going to look at that again. So this is either or. You either go into the both teams to score no, or you go into the correct score market. But if I go into the both teams to score no, I've got now 1-0 covered. So that, don't have to play that anymore. I've got 2-0 covered. Don't have to play that anymore. But I would still want to play 2-1 or 1-2 to the leader. So we'll see how this eventuates. Which one gets it right? Both teams to score no with that £22 cover.
This market has been suspended.
There we go. It's suspended already. So this is going to be interesting. Is it a 0-2 or is it a 1-1? It's a 0-2. There we go. I told you can't trust this league. Look at it. That 92. This is the end of the first half, by the way. So don't forget, second half's a brand new start. And looks like they've been caught with their pants down, haven't they, Notts County? So a great example to you, not only of going into these lower leagues, costing you a lot of money, but this 0-2 is now very interesting indeed. We're up and running with the insurance. So now, this is still alive, isn't it? Both teams to score no, it's still 0-2. So we get a goal back from Fleetwood. We've got the 1-2 covered. We've got 0-3 covered if we did this route. If we did this route, we don't have 0-3 covered. We're going to have to look to that 1-2. If we can get to the 1-2, hopefully we can get to the 2-2, and that will bring the match odds into play. So it's fascinating to see how this will come about. How much loss are we going to make? How much profit we're going to make? So a great illustration to you there of trusting these lower tiers. You saw Scotland embarrass me yesterday, League Two. You've just seen now Notts County potentially falling foul, conceding 2 goals for the first time. Of course, there are only 2 matches played. So let's see what comes of this. At the start of a new season, and particularly on a Saturday and a Sunday, and a Sunday like this, who would you prefer? Notts County Fleetwood or Brentford Crystal Palace? Yes, it's a London derby. Or trusting Lazio against newly promoted Venezia. Looking at the team news as well for Lazio. I think you know the answer. So we don't have to play these lower tiers. It is pretty much the message to you. We don't have to play, particularly like this Saturday where we've just got quality over quantity. We can just pick and choose our way through. Look at this, Inter coming from behind. Yes, they made it 1-2. Milan coming from behind. Fiorentina equalising against newly promoted. Why? They can afford quality strikers who can be relied upon. Fleetwood and Notts County, I haven't got a clue. The weaknesses or strengths of these two sides, only real local fans will know it. And you can see they're still making a good fist of it, Notts County. So says the stats. 78 attacking pressure index. Looks like they were done. Was it a penalty or an own goal starting at the beginning of the second half? So if you take anything out of this live stream today, don't get involved in these lower tiers, particularly at the start of the season. It's awful. Totally and utterly untrustworthy. But then again, the market gave you a bit of a clue here. 2.3 the favourite. And that's why I harp on about this all the time. The market gives clues. That's why I wanted to lay Sunderland 3-0 up at 2.15. Market leaves clues. 2.55 the favourite. Totally and utterly unknown. Haven't got a clue. Market hasn't got a clue. And these are professionals. So take the hint. We've got an idea here that newly promoted Venezia will struggle. But don't forget, these are all guesses. It's the start of a new season. So let's catch up with the in-play stats. As the goals come in, Lugano have conceded first against Brühl, and that could be interesting. If it's as good as, here it is, if it's as good as the German Cup, 1.14 Lugano, a goal down. So that could be interesting. We'll just wait for that to come alive. Club Brugge and Antwerp. Head-to-heads, 1-2 Club Brugge win. Don't forget that was a 0-0. The other 0-0 these two had was a 2-1 Antwerp win. You'll note there in the head-to-heads. 0-0s at half-time, 2-0 win. 79th minute. Very equal match, isn't it? It looks as if they're cancelling each other out. 3 shots on target each. 10 shots to 6 off target. 6 corners each. Very equal stats-wise. They're both cancelling each other out. Randers and Sonder, I don't have a strong opinion on this one. Similar story, Silkeborg and Nordland. As I've alluded to, these can all take a back seat now that we've got the elites back with us. We've got English Premier League, Italian Serie A, Spanish La Liga, Greek Super League, Portuguese Primeira Liga, Dutch Eredivisie. Any others I've missed? German Bundesliga, French Ligue 1. We don't need to be plundering the unreliables from August to April, unless there's compelling evidence. This could be another good example for the 0-2, couldn't it? Because it's such a poor, well, I wouldn't say poor league, but it's not the most compelling pair of teams. But again, it's too late to start doing the 0-2 here. But you could, again, for a bit of fun, and a very quick Lugano equaliser there. Far too quick for me. So let's see if we can solve this 0-2 issue again. And Gnisten, newly promoted Gnisten, have scored first against Oulu in the Vikhuisliga. Oh yeah, Hacken. So can we cover the 0-2 in this one? Just experiment a little bit. It's a bit too late though, I must say. Both teams to score now is going to be relatively, well, 2.68. So again, it's going to cost you a fair whack. But it also covers the 0-1. As you can see, 23 quid at 2.64. But this is all experimental at the moment. I'm sure over the course of the season we can suss out this 0-2 issue. And make sure that we're not losing in the future, or at least we're giving ourselves a better chance of not losing in the future. So looking to win the amount I want to use. Please don't follow me in. We're in experimental mode here, okay? So very big liability. I like to cover the 1-2 personally. And again, it's an illiquid market. So this is not a good example. As you can see, look, 2.36, ridiculous. So that's okay, £7. So now we've got 0-1 covered. We've got 0-2 covered. We've got 1-2 covered. Now we can go into the match odds market. And back Brommer at 6.2. Half stake. Lay Hacken, half stake as liability. Sit back, come to the end of the match and see whether this would have produced an actual profit or how big would the loss have been. So let's see. Look at that, really solid. And if they perform as the first half suggests, we could get ourselves an equaliser nice and quick and suddenly light up this £135. Wow. So let's see if we can solve that 0-2 issue. And it was all brought about thanks to John H. So hello, Enoch. Very nice to see you here. And I hope Ghana's treating you well. Great to see you, Enoch. You did ask me about over 2.5 goals, Enoch. And it's something we're working on this season. But as you see, Enoch, I am a reactive trader. I don't take a position pre-match, but we are working on over 2.5 goals to see if we can find an angle for you this season. I did an e-letter, Enoch, which you might want to read at footballtradingprofits.com. It's free to view. This one here, with a lot of ideas about over 2.5 goals. Match odds market, for example, you've seen a lot of this. 1.3 odds, 3-0, 3-1. Specific leagues. Dutch is the Divisie, English Professional Development League, English Premier League 2. Use this, Soccer Stats. So if you wanted to investigate more, Enoch, I would recommend you look at last season as a possible angle into this season. So look at last season if you can. You can look at last season's stats by clicking on a specific league, going back to 2023-2024, and then looking at the goal section here. So I am looking at an over 2.5 goal angle. I think the success of it will probably be with a staking plan. 71% over 2.5 goals for Newcastle last season. Both teams to score, of course, is an excellent tool for over 2.5 goals as well, isn't it? 84% Sheffield United last season in the Premier League, over 2.5 goals. That's the kind of stat. If they were in the Premier League again this season, that you could really take to town, isn't it? That was away from home.
Suspended.
Tottenham and Sheffield United at home were the best over 2.5 goal sides. So you might want to look at that, perhaps with a staking plan. But I know Paul Dunwoody's given me some great ideas as well, which I'll digest on my day off. So we're working on that, Enoch. Nice to see you around. I hope we can make you some dosh today. So let's go through some of these matches. Well, arguably we could have laid the draw, couldn't we? Given the fact we just looked at the head-to-heads, and we had 3 examples of 0-0s at half-time. And we've got 1-2 Notts County. Let's break and see the importance of that goal. So it's working rather nicely, this 1-2. I don't know why Notts hasn't come in. There we go, Notts Co against Fleetwood. So this was another example of a 0-2.
Suspended.
And now we've got this one as well, Brommer. So let's break. Have Brommer made it 1-1? Waiting for it to come up on Football 24. It looks like it could be a 0-2 to Hacken. Wow. So we're getting a lot of examples of these 0-2s. Let's break and have a look at Notts County against Fleetwood. So if you go both teams to score no, that's dead now. You've lost 22 quid. Okay. So you've lost your insurance, but you've got the 1-2 covered. You haven't got the 2-2 covered because you're assuming, and this is incorrect, by the way. This isn't a green up figure. It's totally liquid. So don't get carried away. Match odds. Notts County's odds. Let's just have a look if I can get across. 5.6 to back Notts County. Well, it's because the goal has come. Let's have a look. 57th minute. So I would have expected a bit of a higher swing, and indeed, it's still 1.68. So I don't know if that goal has been disallowed or not. No, it's 1-2. If we get a 2-2, we could be up and running, get that 112 working for us. So we've got 1-2 covered. We just have to hope that the next team to score will be Notts County. And that will hopefully ignite that £112 there to start producing some green. Look at Brommer, yet another 0-2. So you have been warned about these leagues. This can really cost you, can't it? If you start playing in these lower tier leagues purely via the in-play stats, just doesn't work, does it? You got the 0-2. It's covered. It's covered by either both teams to score no. 0-2's covered. 0-3's covered. 0-4's covered. If Brommer get a goal back, 1-2 is covered. Match odds. Well, we've got a bit of a way to go. And you could even, if you fancied it, this is what I call kind of averaging. Have another bite at this again. Take
This market
advantage.
has been suspended.
Take advantage of the lower odds. Don't increase your liability too much because we've only got £40 covered. But that's looking a lot brighter, isn't it? So we're all in experimental mode at the moment here, okay? Had a lot of these nil twos coming in. So that's going to be interesting to see whether Brommer can score a goal. And indeed, where Notts County can make it 2-2. So it's going to be fascinating. Don't forget, Fleetwood newly relegated, meaning they could find English League 2 to their
This
liking.
market has been suspended.
And I'll just finish off my salad. So in future, if you want to join me for a largely elite live chat, it'll be on a Saturday. These Sundays, as you can see, we're going all over Europe. A lot of secondary leagues can tempt you in and lose you some money. So we need Brommer to make it 1-2. If Hack can score, we've got 0-3 covered. But we don't have 1-3 covered. Need Notts County to score the next goal against the newly relegated side. I think we can get rid of Feyenoord. Don't need to be watching that at the moment. Sigma Olomouc, 2.10 the favourite. Who scored first? They scored first and they conceded the next goal. Again, this is what I call Sunday teams. Sigma Olomouc, Mlada Boleslav. Compare that to Ipswich, Liverpool, Arsenal, AC Milan, Inter Milan. You get the idea. Who would you rather be placing your trust in? Inter Milan, AC Milan, or Sigma Olomouc, who you know very little about? So this is the problem with Sundays. We've got to really be careful that we don't get tempted in. Or if we do get tempted in, that we've got to cover the insurance. We've got to cover these score lines. So we can get rid of this already. What a pity. I would look for a win to nil with a 1.0, well, 1.14 shot. It's normally 0-3, 1-3, any other away scoreline. So this is what I was talking about, Enoch, for over 2.5 goals. Pre-match odds, 1.14, suggesting three or four goals. So let the market work for you, Enoch, as well. If you're looking for 2.5 goals plays, that's just one of our many angles. So we'll just do a bit of tidying up here. And we'll have a look at the Premier League for the first time as well for that London derby. Very tough to read London derby. Crystal Palace really missing Michael Olise. Huge absentee. I think he's gone to Bayern Munich with Harry Kane, who still, I think all he's got is a Johnson Paint trophy for all his career. Poor lad. Joins Bayern Munich, expecting to win the title, and Bayer Leverkusen turn up and nick it all from them. A tougher Scottish League Cup today. We did plunder a couple of these yesterday. Aberdeen got a very, very late goal. But these are SPL sides, so it's very tough to call. AIK looked like they deserved that lead against Djurgården. Djurgården could be suffering from post-Europa Conference League woes. As you can see, they're playing Ilves on the 15th of August, which was my parents' wedding anniversary, 60th wedding anniversary. Amazing stuff for them. Mjällby and Elfsborg, typical Sunday teams. Sigma Olomouc, Firenze, Academico Vidzu. You don't get these on a Saturday. It's very tough. Highlanders and Green Fuel in the Zimbabwean Cup. I wonder if Enoch knows anything about those two. We can get rid of that. Servette 0-0. Well, coming up next, but 1.03. So check out correct scores: 5-0, 7-0, 9-0, or 3-0, 6-0. Oh, sorry, not 3-0. 6-0, 8-0, 10-0, something like that. Let's see whether 1.03 produces over 4.5, over 5.5 goals. That's the best way to create value out of them. So Sigma Olomouc, well, they get the goal, as the deserve to. But do you trust these kind of sides on a typical Sunday? I thought the Premier League matches were kicking off. Yeah, we've got Brentford and Crystal Palace. I can't seem to find the stats here, so let me work my way through here. Get rid of a bit of that. Brentford and Crystal Palace, it's going to be a toughie. But I had a feeling last season that Aston Villa were going to score that second goal. And I've also got a feeling that Crystal Palace, under this new manager, with, I think, the vast majority of the Palace side for that second half of the season, which I showed you earlier on, they were absolutely outstanding, Crystal Palace, last season. As soon as the new manager turned up, scoring an absolute shed load. So let's just check that it's only Olise who is the big absentee. So you go to uk.soccerway.com, scroll on down. Yes, we've got the team news here. But we want to look at transfers in and out. So click on Crystal Palace individually. Transfers. I think Michael Olise has gone to Bayern Munich. Transfers out. Huge miss, Olise, Bayern Munich. Thankfully, I think they're keeping the vast majority of that side, which the new manager took on last season. In comes Wharton from Blackburn, Riyad from Betis, Sarr from Marseille. Don't know much about these teams, these players. Munoz from Genk, and a few other players as well. Looking at the squad, and particularly the forward line, because they set alight at the back end of last season. Matata was a very important player. England international Eberitse Eze. Sarr has been brought in, as you can see, probably to take over from Olise. Edouard, Franca and Ayew, Jordan Ayew, famous player. It's a solid midfield as well. And Can Glasner, you can see his performance as a Crystal Palace manager, absolutely outstanding at the end of last season. I don't think they're showing his matches played as a Palace manager, but it was superb. If I can show you that. Again, look at this, 5-2 London derby. So we might see that today, a drop in the goal scoring potential because it's a London derby. 4-3-5. So we've got Matata. We know he's playing. Eberitse Eze's playing. Olise's not. Matata, Tyrick Mitchell, Olise there, important. And Matata getting the 2 goals. So they've got Matata. That's an important thing for Crystal Palace. I would favour them on paper because of that really solid finish to last season. Brentford themselves, you can check their ins and outs if you want. But really, for me, it was Crystal Palace that were the compelling ones. And 1 shot on 3 off 1 corner, suggesting they're just slightly ahead here. But please remember, it is a London derby. So it's a messy Sunday coupon today. We're relying on English League 2, mid-table mediocrity, etc. So I think the German Cup we can rely on today, that's for sure. Premier League is tough. Chelsea playing Man City. Chelsea full of new players. Man City not really done much work in the transfer market. We've got the Veikkausliiga. This could be interesting. Although Guinnesston a favourite. HJK Helsinki, very solid yardstick. KUPS, suggestion. It's a bit of a toughie for them today against Ilves. And I think Ilves were involved in Europe. You can have a look at the Finnish Veikkausliiga. The best way to look at that is fcstats.com, the challenge table. It's not available at soccerstats.com, but it is available here. KUPS and Ilves. H2H, scroll down, and you can see, look at the form. KUPS at home, only lost to Hacker. 1-1 draw with, with Ilves, second in the league. That's why it's a derby-style match today, isn't it? 1-2 win for Ilves. Oh no, 1-2 win for KUPS against Ilves earlier on in the season. KUPS, pretty good home form, but we do have a trouble conceding goals. But notably, they haven't conceded that second goal. But they do have struggles, only the one clean sheet. How about Ilves? And don't forget, when you're looking at home, you're looking for the home side at home, the away side away. It makes no sense looking at their home form. And there's obvious struggles here against the top 5. They suddenly start scoring though. 3-2, 2-2 against 5th and lower, but they are playing top of the league, and they have real struggles against the top 4 scoring that second goal. Suggesting to me, if Ilves score first, they might be vulnerable. Thankfully, this brilliant competition is bringing us a few more potential plays. We've already got Augsburg coming from behind to win earlier on. Bochum, Dano, still in the Bundesliga, I hope. Not too sure. Or Bundesliga Zwei, that's from 2021. I think they're still in the Bundesliga, but that's irrelevant, really. As is the odds, really, suggesting it's going to be a bit tighter. But we're looking at these lot here. Elversborg, Darmstadt, FC Köln from the Bundesliga, and Paderborn as well. Hertha Berlin playing Hansa Rostock. That looks a little tighter as well. Hertha Berlin is still in the second tier, much to the concern of their supporters. They're such a big club to be stuck in the Bundesliga Zwei. I think, I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. So German Cup, a very welcome addition to Sunday. So it's been quiet so far. I'm not going to be trading just because I'm doing a live chat. That's pointless. This is a good exercise in discipline and in just waiting for the opportunities should they arise. And look, this is another set of Sunday teams. Slask Wroclaw, Korona Kielce, Ruch Chorzów, Firenze Academico Viseu. These are not sides who will be vying for the title, I doubt. So we're just going to be a bit patient. As you can see, Brummer starting to warm up, 69th minute. Can they score the next goal to bring that 1-2 into play and to hopefully ignite the match odds? We've got 20 minutes to go, plenty of time. Really good stats from Brummer. But you would have been swearing at me had we got involved here based on all of this. So we're waiting for that goal. We've got 0-2 covered. We've got 1-2 covered. We don't have 0-3 covered. And Brentford have opened up against Crystal Palace in the London Derby. So this will be a good gauge of whether Palace and the new manager Glasner, whether Glasner will have them scoring like he did last season. Because as you saw, absolutely outstanding. So it's a tough one. I'm sorry I'm not that optimistic about the trade. Just because it's a Premier League, it doesn't mean it's tradable. It's a London derby. I hope, look at Crystal Palace and the vast majority of the team from last season to get some reparation back here. Head-to-heads, 3-1 to Palace at home. Who scored 2 of those goals? I think it was Michael Olise. So he's absent. But the last 3 head-to-heads have been 1-1. Typical London derbies. And that gives you a potential angle in here. This could be another good example to show you the 0-2 in action. Don't forget, we've got this covered, this 0-2. Both teams to score no is starting to come alive. If you did the correct score, the 1-2 is still there. So this, again, Brentford could be a good chance for me to show you the usefulness or otherwise of the 0-2. Please remember this is a London derby. Ordinarily, I wouldn't necessarily play. So please, please, please remember that. Okay? I wouldn't necessarily play, but it'll be good to show you both teams to score no yet again. Because it covers the 0-1, doesn't it? Covers the 1-0. So you're looking to win the amount of money you're going to be using. £40 in my case. Backing both teams to score no. Covers 1-0 Brentford, 2-0 Brentford, 3-0 Brentford, 4-0 Brentford. Okay? We're hoping that Crystal Palace ignite like they did last season, or indeed in the head-to-heads prior to the 3-1 win. We had consistent 1-1 scorelines. But Michael Olise is probably the kind of player who will make a big difference in a tight London derby. So he's absent. We don't know either whether Brentford's new signings will gel or ignite. So don't forget, London derbies probably not worth trading. Okay? So it's turning into a bit of a Sunday coupon, this one. Got to be extremely cautious. Take our time. If we make a profit today, great. So both teams to score no is covered 0-1. Sorry, 1-0. Covered 2-0 Brentford. Covered 3-0 Brentford. I personally like to cover the 1-2. Or the 2-1 in this case. Not going to cost you much. Probably about £7 or even less. There you go. So now we have 1-0 Brentford covered, 2-0 Brentford covered, 2-1 Brentford covered, 3-0, 4-0. If you fancy Palace, this gives you carte blanche now to go straight into the match odds market. Problem is the 1-1 in the head-to-heads. So I'm using that £40 stake. I'm going to divide it by 2. You're going to get decent odds about Palace. But don't forget the head-to-heads. Lots and lots and lots of 1-1 draws. So it doesn't really look good. This is one of those matches you prefer to be playing +1, which covers the draw. Okay? Don't forget this is opening match of the season. There could be a shock result. London derby could be a shock result. If you're going to be disciplined, you leave derbies alone. And this is arguably a derby style match as well, as I mentioned in the review preview video. A derby style match. So, the advantage of this though, you're getting really decent odds if Palace can pull it off. Half stake as liability to lay Brentford to make sure that you've got a £40 loss, which is the amount you were looking to win on the both teams to score no and on the 1-2. So how does this look? If Crystal Palace ignite, that 118 can hopefully work for you. Both teams to score no, we've got covered. Normally, with an early goal, you get it 5s or 6s, so your liability is a lot smaller. This is all experimental. This is far too big a liability for me, but this is an option. If you fancied the old-fashioned route, lay over 1.5 goals to win the amount of money you want to use. Laying over 1.5 goals at this is either or. You either do both teams to score no, or you do this. As you can see, the liability is much lower because you're only covering one scoreline. You're covering the 1-0. Crystal Palace +1 would be my ideal here. If the odds for Crystal Palace +1 are far bigger than 1.2, you'll be up and at them. Well, that's worryingly high. when you learn to read markets, particularly the +1 market, you'll see anything like this. Anything above 1.8 in the +1 market means market is lacking confidence that Crystal Palace will get an equaliser. The market's probably reminding you that this is a London derby, and what the bleep are you doing trading London derbies? But the reward is huge relative to the amount staked. We can sit back and see which of these two routes is the best, or the third route, of course, leave derbies alone. That's always another route that you have. French Ligue 1 is looking interesting, Auxerre and Nice. So let me just catch up with a few of these peripheral matches. What I'm using here is In Play Guru, as you know, long-term members. The ones I've got highlighted are the matches of interest, as you know well, and I can dismiss some of these which are already done and dusted. So we've got 0-2 covered here. We will get out of this with a relative break-even or a marginal loss if it remains 0-2. One-way traffic, as you can see, but they just can't cross the line. Problem of playing in these lower tiers. Notts County, ever so close to making that 2-2, aren't they? Ever so close. Now, arguably, you could get involved at 1.25 and lower, which we might do. That will keep the liability very, very low indeed. Sigma Olomouc, well, thoroughly deserving that lead, but do you trust these two? Willems Vey leading Go Ahead Eagles, 2.63 the favourite. Translated, we haven't got a clue, mate. Sorry. I think Willems Vey are newly promoted. So let's just have a check. Willems Vey and Go Ahead Eagles. Opening goal was a penalty. So it's a scoreline which is flattering a little bit. Head-to-heads, looking at last season, the Eerste Divisie. So Willems Vey are newly promoted and they're leading. Are they vulnerable? Eredivisie versus Eerste Divisie. Are Willems Vey going to be vulnerable here? Note their opening goal was a pen, as you know, which suggests that scoreline is flattered a bit. Only just got the one shot on target, 2 off and 2 corners from Go Ahead Eagles. So they're not really lit it up at all, have they? But at 1.1, I wouldn't put you off laying a newly promoted side at 1.1, as we did earlier on. So let me just save all of the Crystal Palace plays. So you either do the insurance or you do both teams to score, because both teams to score covers the insurance. So let's see. Leave that one. London Derby. See which of the three routes you're going to take. You're going to do both teams to score. You're going to do insurance and Palace +1. Or the third route, you'll be disciplined and stay out of derby matches. Okay. I've forgotten the match I was going to go to now. Willems Vey and Go Ahead Eagles. How short are Willems Vey's odds? We've got a potential goal. Brentford and Palace.
This market has been suspended.
So we'll wait for that. I think they're well worth laying, Willems Vey, at 1.15. Newly promoted, beginning of the second half. First goal, a penalty. Don't forget to back Go Ahead Eagles as well. And this is one for the Telegrammers, I think. I always like to get £100+ on the side behind, because that offers us leverage. If they get a goal back, that 112 will start working on the green screen. And look at the liabilities, very low. So I'm going to pass this on to Telegram. So let me just sort that out. Good afternoon. Live chat webinar at the moment. We've got a couple of examples of the 0-2 plays in action. my first trade of the day in what is a typical Sunday coupon. You saw how frustrated I was last Sunday. Willems Twee, Willem, Zwei, well, just 2 basically. Or you can look under Go Ahead Eagles, that's far easier. They are newly promoted. Their first goal was a penalty. They're 2-0 up. I've laid them at 1.13. Back to Go Ahead Eagles at 40s plus. Just in case Go Ahead Eagles can score a goal. Very low liability. Time to target a newly promoted side, particularly when one of their 2 goals was a penalty. So I'll just send them the spelling. Willems Twee is the spelling. So while I'm doing a live chat webinar, I'm afraid I'm not going to be doing screenshots for you. Okay. If you want to see how the bets are placed, why don't you come over to youtube.com/@footballtradingprofits and join the live stream. We've got great streaming software working today, thankfully. So that's my first play of the day. Very low liability. And it's 0-3 to Häcken. So we've got 0-3 covered. We've got 0-3 covered by both teams to score no. So you're learning a lot today about getting involved in these secondary leagues and whether you should just be waiting, particularly August to April. You should be waiting for the better leagues. Auxerre have got the goal, as their in-play stats suggested. So I've got to pay some attention to some of these other leagues. As you can see, this was thoroughly deserved, wasn't it? From Auxerre. Start of a new season of French Ligue 1. Again, typical Sunday teams, I would call them. They're probably likely to be mid-table mediocrity. Typical Sunday coupon. It's a very tough coupon to trust. Very tough set of teams to trust. I hope you're all okay at YouTube. Enoch, Brentford goal. What a good goal, says Robert. Hi, Stephen. Nice to see you. Welcome to another season, Stephen. 2-0 or 1-1. So we've got 2-0 covered, Robert. We've got 1-1 covered. I would be probably leaning towards the 1-1 if Crystal Palace can reignite that goal scoring from the back end of last season. So let's just catch up with a few matches. Super Eton, you know now. Dodge Pot City. We've got a red card, Mjällby and Elfsborg. Well worth keeping a lookout for. But you saw with Portsmouth against Luton yesterday, when you've got a red card, it doesn't mean you automatically lay the draw. Newcastle red carded very, very early and won 1-0. Okay. The clue, 1.4 pre-match favourites. Don't automatically jump on. Also newly promoted, Saints. We also had this lot, Portsmouth, just simply
suspended.
Didn't turn up after the red card. Didn't add to the shots on and off target at all. They were awful. So you've got a red card. Doesn't mean it's an automatic play. And Brommer have spoilt the insurance play by scoring a goal. This is the Achilles heel of doing the both teams to score no. If Brommer score a late goal, 1-3, you didn't have covered. But I reiterate, I wouldn't have played this match anyway, Brommer and Häcken. I just wanted to show you an example. So you're learning a bit. You're learning about the positives and negatives of doing both teams to score no. The negative is the 1-3 is your killer scoreline. You're going to make a loss on 1-3. 87th minute as well. 87th minute. So realistically, you can't expect Brommer to at least get you a draw.
This market has been suspended.
So we learnt a lot from that. Notts County, we've got the 1-2 covered. So we're okay at the moment. We don't want a Notts County equaliser
This
now.
market suspended.
Because you're going to be making a loss if you get a Notts County equaliser. because we've gone for the Notts County win, haven't we? Another good example to you of playing these lower tiers at the beginning of a season. You don't want to be doing it. This is probably the best place to start laying old Tommy Fleetwood. Phillips Bay and Go Ahead Eagles suspended market. Maybe it's half time. No, it's not half time. 1 hour and 16 to be the beginning of the second half. Just waiting for some action there. So on a Sunday, this is the kind of liability we want to keep very low. Fleetwood, might want to start laying them once you start getting to even lower odds like this. We've got 1-2 covered. We will win. £31, £39.20. Both teams to score no. Don't forget you've lost that liability because it's 1-2. We were looking for the 2-2 to start that 112 working. So there is issues with this playing the 2-0. Your only other route is to lower your stake if you get caught out with the 0-2. I use £40 stakes.
This market has been suspended.
Here we go. Is this a 2-2 now for Notts County? My best angle, I think, here would have been to have laid Fleetwood Town at low odds, just in case the pressure, particularly 11 corners, produces a goal for Notts County. Mjällby and Elfsborg, well, as I've said about
has been suspended.
red cards, 69th minute red. Any reaction? No. No shots on target for Mjällby. 3 shots off target, 1 corner. That's not good enough for me as a reaction to a red card, so I will not be playing that one. Sigma Olomouc and Mlada Boleslav, for those new to trading, this is a Desmond 2-2 for obvious reasons. It suggests, doesn't it, that these two are going for the win. You're scoring 2 goals, you're conceding 2 goals, you're well up for it today. Possibilities of laying the draw late on here, but yet again, we're dealing with mid-table sides in a lower tier league. Now we've got the league table up here. This is what I'd be looking at. I would be looking at Sparta Prague, Slavia Prague and Poulsen. I would also be looking at Dukla Prague, newly promoted, as a side to take on. All of these others are going to have a compelling argument to get involved. Sparta Prague and Slavia Prague produced 2 good trades yesterday, and they continue to do it week in and week out. Why complicate your life by trying to solve Mlada Boleslav and Sigma Olomouc's puzzle? Willems Bay, 1.06, 1 shot on 2 off and 2 corners. Keep your liability low. Only reason we got involved, newly promoted, could be vulnerable. First goal, a penalty as well. So well worth doing, I thought. Lugano, well, absolutely emphatic after conceding the first goal. Best value there would have been get involved in the half-time market. London Derby, it's half-time. 1 shot on 3 off and 1 corner. Typical London Derby. Very tough to read, very tough to call. I would suspect a 1-1 at the end of this, if history is anything to go by. KUPS look to be on top against Ilves in a clash of the top 2 in the Superettan, not Superettan, in the Vikhausliga. Now, sides like KUPS and HJK are a lot more reliable than a few others. And Notts County have made it 2-2, which is not what we would have wanted, but we would have liked to have laid Fleetwood late on, wouldn't we? Because now we've lost all of our insurance. We've lost this £13 liability here. And the both teams to score no liability is gone. And we're looking for a win now from Notts County to get us out of jail. So that's the great thing about experimenting like this, is we can see the Achilles heels of these plays. And we can also see alternative routes. The alternative here would have been to have laid Fleetwood at 1.2 and lower late on. That would have been the best route, wouldn't it? At all times, try to keep your liability as low as possible. So we were all along the right lines here, but the goals have not come in as good a time as we wanted them to come. You could negate this £40 liability just in case Fleetwood win by using variable profit Dutching. It's not going to cost you much at 15s, and it will keep that marginal gain on the draw, and you'll be losing a bit of money if Notts County go on and win. So that will make sure that £40 doesn't get lost. Waiting to be matched. So it was deserved, and as I say, the best angle would have been to have waited. The service used to be called delay, react, trade for a reason. You delay and get involved. The longer you delay, the lower the liability to lay and the bigger the odds to back. So we're looking ideally for a Notts County winner here. If they can get the win, you will clean up. But it's just exposed, hasn't it, the flaws. Both teams to score no, odds were too high. So the liability was, the insurance premium was too high. Best way in, a 1-2 Fleetwood lead. We saw the last odds for Fleetwood were about 1.2. If you start laying at those kind of odds, your liability is low and you're still in with a shout if Notts County produce the goods as they suggested they would there. So let's work our way down. Any other matches I'm ignoring? We can get rid of this one. French League, well, Auxerre thoroughly deserved that lead, but I can't read this match at all. 2.4 the favourite. They did deserve the equaliser, but it's the start of a new season. Got no patterns to work off. Looks like the favourites are doing the business in the German Cup, which is a good sign for the next lot of German Cup matches. No trades at all there, with all the favourites obliging so far. Been a great competition this weekend. Every single trade we've got involved in has been a profitable trade in the German Cup. Fantastic stuff. It augurs well for the Bundesliga next season. Next weekend. I'm looking forward to that. It's one of your Enoch. You might want to look at the German Bundesliga. It's one of the highest stats for over 2.5 goals. And if you know your sides, if we go last season, goals, and we can have a look at the best sides for 2.5 goals overall. Probably Bayern Munich and the mighty Hoff, Borussia Mönchengladbach, who had a very strong both teams to score record. No coincidence, 85%. Hoffenheim I would take out of this as a potential both teams to score. Why? They're excellent at scoring before half time as well. So that, for me, would be a potential both teams to score side in Germany. Bayern Munich, of course, but both teams, the over 2.5 goals are going to be very short indeed. So oftentimes, very strong odds on favourite. Looking at home, Leverkusen, obviously, under Xabi Alonso. Probably going to be an over 2.5 goal side in every single match next season.
It has been suspended.
So stick that in your notebook. Enoch for over 2.5 goals. Mönchengladbach again dominating at home, 76%. Stuttgart 76% as well. Away from home, 94% of Bayern Munich away matches were over 2.5 goals last season. 88% of Hoffenheim away matches over 2.5 goals last season. Best way to play these two? Delay. Try to get 15 or 20 minutes at 0-0 and then back over 2.5 goals at better odds. So all we have really to work with is last season's stats, but that's absolutely compelling. And if you wanted to have a look at other teams or other leagues, go to the flag, go to last season, 2023-2024, go to the goals section. And if you wanted to look, what I like to see from over 2.5 goals is goals before half time. So let's have a look at these stats here. First half, goals for Paris Saint-Germain, 42, but there's no more Kylian Mbappe. He's at Real Madrid. Lille involved in the Champions League at 34. I don't know if these are... No, they're not. You can't sort these ones here. Paris Saint-Germain, 34 is the next best. Monaco for first half goals. So those could be your two sides for over 2.5 goals, Enoch, in the French League. Paris Saint-Germain, Monaco, potentially. Second half goals, if you want to lay any draws at half time, you're looking at sides with good second half scoring ratio. 39 looks to be the top. So that's a goal a game, pretty much. Game played 34. 39. And Monaco and Brest, Lyon. So that's how I would look using last year's stats. Goal times as well. And also give you an indicator for over 2.5 goals. Again, you're looking at first half goals. So we're looking at some really big sets of stats. The earlier, the better, of course. So there's plenty of ways to look at over 2.5 goals. As I say, I'm a reactive trader, but I'd like to solve the puzzle. It would be excellent. So Notts County and Fleetwood would have been a loss with the both teams to score no, covering the 0-2. The comeback, probably best way to take on or get involved here would have been to have laid Fleetwood at half-time, 0-2 up. But it's the opening match of the season. First half stats, 6 shots on target, 1 shot off target, and 5 corners. So I don't know if that was enough for you to have laid Fleetwood. But again, English League 2, probably not a league I would get involved with immediately. Go Ahead Eagles haven't turned up yet, 71 minutes in. That's why we lay at low liability. Looks like a good defensive display from the newly promoted side, Willemsvee. Go Ahead Eagles, last time these two met, won 4-0 at home, 1-0 win away. So a good start for the newly promoted Willemsvee. Can they continue? Or are they going to be, are the wheels going to fall off as soon as they start meeting the big guns? Second half to begin soon in the London Derby. Can Crystal Palace make it 1-1 for 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads? KUPS against Ilves. It's a top 2 clash. So it's a typical Sunday match. HJK and Ekenas. You can have a look at the scoring times for these finished matches to see whether there's a second half element to it. So go to the Finnish Veikkausliiga here. We're going down to KUPS and Ilves. 5-0 to Feyenoord. Don't need Mr. Slot, that's for sure. So if you're going to look at the research, view stats and matches for both teams. And we're looking at the goal table, which will be at the base here. Home for the home side, away for the away side. So any real patterns second half? 11 of 19 goals scored at home have come second half. 54% of goals scored by Ilves have come second half. No real strong patterns second half, is there? It's about 50-50 for both of these two. How about HJK? They have a good second half scoring record. And there's one last set of stats to look at as well, which I've forgot about. So if you scroll down, 2-0 nils at half-time at home, none at full-time. 3-0 nils at half-time away, none at full-time. That does suggest laying the draw second half, doesn't it? So if you fancy that, you could do the same for HJK Helsinki as well. So we're going to go back and look at the HJK match. and do the same for this one, Ekenes and HJK. But I think this is still 0-0, I believe. Yeah, 0-0. So again, you're going to work your way down. So I'm sorry there's not many trades today. It's just the nature of the beast. It's a Sunday. I do far prefer a Saturday. But we've got some quality football coming up. 15 of 19 Ekenes goals conceded. Second half, 13 of them 61st to 75th minute. Wow. Newly promoted. Obvious Achilles heel. They can shut them out in the first half. But boy, are they vulnerable second half. Is that enough for you to lay the draw? Looking at HJK, it's 50-50 yet again. But that, if you wanted to wait until the 61st minute, that's a possible angle in, isn't it? So let's have a look at HJK, which is more compelling. Ekenes, awful concession rate second half. So the draw is at 3.5 currently. Are you willing to wait until the 60th minute? If they look to weather the storm, 46th to 60th minute, don't they? But they are very, very vulnerable late on. And by waiting until the 60th minute, you're going to get lower odds as well to lay that draw. So that could be an angle in for HJK Helsinki and Ekenes, which I think I'll pass on to Telegrammers. So let's have a quick look at that one. Ekenes are playing HJK Helsinki in a Finnish Veikkausliiga. It's 0-0 at half time, but Ekenes are extremely vulnerable second half. Newly promoted, 15 of their 19 goals conceded at home have come in the second half. 13 of those goals have come in the 60th to 90th minute. If you want to wait until the 60th minute, and if it is still 0-0, you could lay the draw and hope that Ekenes concede late again. Could be very vulnerable second half. So up to you. You could lay the draw initially at the beginning of the second half, or you could wait until the 60th minute, get even shorter odds. Brentford and Crystal Palace is a London derby, so remaining disciplined, really, you wouldn't be playing. But if you look at the head-to-heads, I think 4 of the last 5 head-to-heads have seen 3 of the last 4 head-to-heads have been 1-1. The other alternative was a 3-1 Crystal Palace win. But Michael Olise, who is now at Bayern Munich, scored 2 goals for Palace in that one. They were superb at the back end of last season. If you look at the performance of Palace under Glasner, the new manager, he got them scoring 2+ goals consistently. So up to you. It is a London derby. It's the opening match of the season. It's totally unreadable. But if you want to go via the head-to-heads, you would be taking on Brentford. The best way to do that would be to lay Brentford at 1.53 or thereabouts. Back Crystal Palace at 8. Keep your liability as low as possible. I wouldn't be doing insurance in this particular perspective. I want to keep my liability low if I'm going to be playing London derbies, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way. So as you know, London derbies, difficult. Looks like Willemsvee are having a good start to their season in the top flight. Not troubled yet. Go Ahead Eagles, quite simply, haven't turned up at all. Okay, so let me just get back. Football 24. Plug in the phone, make sure it doesn't die. I miss score lines. And we can get back up. Now, Sigma Olympic, Desmond Tutu, up to you if you wanted to play that, but you haven't seen any additional shots on target this whole second half. Plenty of shots off target, but nothing doing from Sigma at all to want. And again, these are not the teams in the Czech One League who are reliable. I'll repeat, Sparta Prague, Slavia Prague, Plzeň, all 3 of those coincidentally involved in European club competition next week. I think, at least, I think Sparta Prague are playing Lyon on Tuesday. So it's a very quiet day today, but I like it this way. We could have had two possible trades earlier on had I got home in time. Augsburg equaliser and PSV turning the 1-1 into 1-2. Could have laid the draw second half there. So those would have started the day off nicely, but I just got in at the wrong time. In the DBF Pokal, well, I'm afraid the favourites in this particular instance far too reliable. And the other two favourites, not very strong favourites pre-match, 1.91 and 2.1. Not really in keeping with the likes of Augsburg, Mönchengladbach, Mainz, Hoffenheim, etc. We can get rid of that. And this is another example for you, Enoch, about potential goals. Look at that, 1.25 shot, scoring 5 goals. Okay, the relationship between short odds and goals is a key factor. So if you wanted to play these shorties, Enoch, 1.25, 1.3 or lower decimal odds, look at over 3.5 goals and see how many of those come in. Normally a lot. Normally see first half goals as well. Just the one on this occasion. So a good start for a slotless Feyenoord. We'll get rid of the second tier in Norway. Hertha Berlin have opened up against Hansa Rostock, 38th minute. And Celtic have already scored against Hibs in the Scottish Cup. It's typical Celtic, absolutely dominating Scottish football. Got a red card for Kilmarnock. I wonder if Motherwell are up for the cup. I suspect they'll be playing a first 11 because it's very early in the season. Didn't really have a chance against Rangers. Rangers drew their first match of the season, i.e. they're on the back foot already. And that was down to them playing in the Champions League, I think it was, or the Europa League. So they had to win against Motherwell. So Motherwell didn't really stand a chance. 2-1 win for Rangers against Motherwell. Motherwell will be keen, I think, to get some kind of a victory under their belt. A bit like Plymouth under Wayne Rooney, football genius, against Chesterfield. So that Kilmarnock red card, I think, has just arrived. Could that spell the end of Kilmarnock? Certainly, before the red card, looked like Motherwell, the half-time team talk, was quite effective. 2 shots on target and a corner. Already 51st minute. So that could be a good lay the draw. Motherwell and Kilmarnock. So we'll keep an eye on this. For the 60th minute, you'll be targeting this one, HJK. Or you can do it right at the off. I'll leave it up to you. Motherwell. Well, let's have a look. So if you want to lay the draw in the Motherwell match, I'll leave that to you. Can they take advantage of that red card? That's what we need to know. Psychologically important to get your first win of the season in any competition. It will just ensure that the players don't enter a negative spiral. So I think we could lay this draw at some point. Motherwell could take advantage. Second half beginning, Brentford and Crystal Palace. Are we going to see a 1-1 as is typical of the head-to-heads? Or are we going to be disciplined and not play London derbies? So a lot to think about. If you get frustrated with Sunday trading this early, don't worry. As soon as we get some form lines working, you're going to find a lot more readable matches on a Saturday and a Sunday. So fear not. It's going to be an exciting season. Saturday was good yesterday. I think I got £176 out of the market yesterday, which I was delighted with, considering I lost in that Clyde match. I've really got AC Milan to thank for getting me out of jail. I was resigned to a loss yesterday as I went to sleep, and then AC Milan did their job, because don't forget, I'm on the plus 6 hour time difference, so it was very, very late for me. So I think we've got some hope here with Motherwell. If you wanted to lay the draw, I tend to do it to a fixed liability. I haven't found any other solution to it yet, unless you want to drip lay. But for me, it's a very high liability, which is the problem. But then if you want to leave it like this, you can always open the door up to using other staking plans and looking at the lay 1 to 4 staking plan, for example, which I'll get to if we get an opportunity. So certainly some legs there. Again, as with Portsmouth, you want to see a reaction. We've seen the beginnings of a reaction from Motherwell to the red card. So let's hope that we can get some more. These two haven't turned up second half, have they? Twiddling their thumbs. It's all shots off target. 4 corners only. So some Desmonds aren't worth taking. And it looks like this is a very good defensive display from Willemsvee. Keep my liability low. I would always be laying, particularly at low odds, newly promoted teams leading 2-0, particularly when the first goal is a penalty. It just makes sense. It's logical. Liability is very low if you get involved second half. Just sit back, take the hit. It's not going to be worry money, is it? 1 shot on 4 off and 3 corners away for Crystal Palace. This match is probably better watched. Now, I can't watch it in front of you. Now we're seeing Motherwell starting to look as if they're going to be coping or taking advantage of the 10 men. It was a 1-1 the last time these two met in February in the SPL. A 1-0 Kilmarnock win, 2-1 Motherwell. So Motherwell are unbeaten in the last 3 home head-to-heads in the SPL. Got to take advantage of that red card. So if you want to lay the draw, by all means do, but please do remember it is the Cup. And the draw is in play in the Cup, isn't it? Kilmarnock will be keen to get out of this with a draw, bring this to extra time and penalties, if they want to be in the Cup, that is this season. A KUPS and Ilves top 2 clash. That's the only negative here. Equinus and HJK, we're getting slowly to the 60th minute mark, aren't we? But we haven't seen any action from HJK second half. No shots on, no shots off, no corners. Are they involved in Europe? Let's just check. There is always a reason why teams underperform. And the reason is mostly, or usually, because they've got an upcoming fixture in Europe. You can check that out here at uk.soccerway.com, which is a brilliant website for filtering out by competition. So you're looking at HJK. There we go. There we go. Europa Conference League on the 22nd. That is the reason for the underperformance so far. Okay, so please get into the habit. If you see one of these sides that you fancy, particularly when they're top 2 or top 3 in the league, they're 4 minutes early, the Bar Stewards, they've just scored. So if you laid the draw at the start of the second half, you're okay. But if you were waiting till the 60th minute, you're not okay. With the right team here, 4 minutes away from the 60-minute mark. So don't forget, you've got a couple of options. You can lay the draw initially at the start, and therefore you'll capture the early goal. Or like me, you can wait until the 60th minute, using the stats to suggest an entry point. But, Equinus, that suggests they're going to concede, doesn't it? Huge, huge. 13, 15 shots, 15 goals conceded second half. And that, don't forget, that's at home. So the reason HJK are underperforming today is because they've got the Europa Conference League next week on the 22nd. That's why they've been a bit laboured today. I was waiting for the 60th minute. Didn't come to pass. What a pity. For those of you who laid the draw at the off, well done. So let's have a look through some other matches we might have been neglecting. Let's put this into league order. So I think we can get rid of Hertha
This
Berlin
market
now.
has been suspended.
They've already opened the scoring. Cercle Brugge look like they've opened the scoring against Leuven, who took a battering, or not a battering, but one of the best newly promoted sides so far this season. Dender, I think, gave them Leuven a hell of a match. Beerschot, 0-0. I thought they were playing Dender. Sorry, my mistake. And we got a goal. 1-1, as per the head-to-heads. So let's see how that looks at Crystal Palace. I just had that inkling, at the end of last season, if the manager can get an able replacement for Elise, this Palace side are going to be top 10 again. They were only top 10 last season, and this is how the green will look. So here's your options. If you laid over 1.5 goals and covered Crystal Palace +1, you're going to be losing £8 here, but you're going to be winning £28 here so far. So that's a £20 green screen. Don't forget that is only promised. Okay, that's potential. It's not guaranteed. If you went match odds, you can make a 25 green screen. But more importantly, you've got 118 waiting on Palace if they ignite like they did at the back end of last season. Ka-ching. Your immediate thought as a trader is to get rid of this £40 in as efficient a way as possible. Variable profit Dutching is the way to do that because it will show you these other two. And if you wanted to keep a bit of profit on the draw, you could always just do that and it would lock in the draw profit for you. As you can see, that 118 for Palace is dropping like a stone, like a Sharon. That probably for me is a good configuration given the fact it's a London derby. Okay, so I'll just pass this on to Telegrammers. We call these options at exit. Crystal Palace +1, of course, very high odds relative to the market, which is why you're getting a decent enough return. So if you played the London derby, and Palace
This market has been suspended.
then potential to cash out. Now, I have negated the Brentford liability in match odds and loaded on Palace, and I've made it 1-2. Wow. This is what I'm talking about. Watch out for Palace this season. Watch out for Palace this season. This is a great example that they are as they were at the end of last season. Full of goals. Forget about Elise. I don't think he's going to be
This market has been suspended.
impacting. If that goal has stood, of course. No, it looks like it's not. But this is a really good sign for Palace fans. That they're going to be exciting and full of goals this season. Pinnock, own goal, fair enough. I'll take an own goal any day of the week. Typical of a London derby, isn't it? Odsone, let's have a look at the lineups. So we've got Matata, who, as you saw, the back end of last season, scoring an absolute shed load. Eberechi, easy, England international now. Thanks. He's got his manager to thank for that, because his manager did something, lit the fuse, and he's really responded well. Some other forwards as well have been included, but there's a Jordan Ayew yet to come on. Sarr, I think, is the replacement for Elise. So watch out for this Glasner. Very good manager. I always tell you to look out for new managers because sometimes they will ignite a team, as they did with Palace. Sometimes they won't get their tactics across and teams will struggle. But quite clearly, they've picked an excellent manager here.
This market has been suspended.
And he's kept the vast majority of that attacking lineup from last season. So it's all looking rather nice. If you did play, well done. It is a London derby, so give yourself a slap on the wrist for playing in a London derby. But looking at the head-to-heads, looking at the back end of last season, fantastic. Now we've got the possibility of laying the draw again. We've got an Ekenes goal against HJK. This is typical of a pre-European club competition team, isn't it? Eye off the ball. Now, knowing Ekenes have conceded 13 goals in the last half an hour,
has been suspended.
That draw might be vulnerable at some point. This is too much of a derby-style match for me to be confident about laying the draw here. KUPS and Ilves. But I did show you the stats. So you have a good return, laying over 1.5 goals. Sorry, 0-0 at half-time, second half goals. It still remains 0-1 to HJK. That Ekenes goal has been disallowed. Motherwell, really good reaction to the red card so far. 5 shots on target. 3 of them second half. Red card 50th minute, 55th and 64th minute. So that's looking okay. Might be one to target if it's 0-0 late on. But again, I'm a bit squeamish about the League Cup element and the fact that the draw is in play in a cup match. So this could be your outsiders for possible European place. Crystal Palace, really, if that second goal, disallowed second goal, is indicative of what they were doing last season, they could be well worth following this season, I think, Crystal Palace. Copenhagen, ultra reliable. Famous last words, of course. Adanaspor, not sure if they're newly relegated, so I'll just check that out in the Turkish One League, because they're a familiar name. Adanaspor. Sounds like they're a Turkish Super League side. So let me just get head-to-head and go backwards. I haven't heard of this Igdir. Are they newly promoted? And no, they're second league side. Oh no, 2 league playoffs. So that's, they're newly promoted, Igdir. Adanaspor were in the 1 league last season. So we've got a potential team to target in Igdir, newly promoted. So I'll keep an eye on that. Particularly they're leading. But this is a strange market. Why are they 1.5 favourite when they're newly promoted? Again, it's one of those leagues you don't have to play. Okay, but a strange market. Newly promoted side, 1.5 favourite. Got to respect the market, of course. Old Moneybags, Deadpool and his Wrexham side, newly promoted, playing Bolton. See how they fare against Bolton. That'll be one to watch. Get rid of some of these peripheral matches. Faroe Islands as well. Just a lack of liquidity, really. 2-0 already for Celtic. I think we can say ta-ra to that. Absolutely pointless having teams like this in leagues because they just keep winning, and it's the whole spectacle is gone. A contest. This is a contest. Celtic matches in the SPL are not contests. It's a bit like PSG and stuff like that. It's just what's the point watching the match when you know what the final result is going to be? It's very weird. I can get rid of that one. So what's up for Zurich? 1.01. Those of you who fancy over 8.5 goals, let's see if there's any of those markets available, just for a bit of fun. So we'll keep an eye on the Crystal Palace. +1 as well if you went there. A nice 30 quid green available, which I It's a big liability, 40 quid. When you can afford to negate it, please. Let's have a look at Zurich, see if we've got any high scoring overs markets. This is where I'd be heading, but it's totally illiquid. What a pity. Totally illiquid. Totally illiquid. That's a real pity. Bookmakers, of course, you'll have liquid markets. But watch out. I would guess 1.01, I'd be looking at these upper echelons here, over 6.5, over 7.5, over 8.5 goals. Totally a liquid match, so don't dwell on it, please. And there's no real point in me following. You can't play. Now, I'm just going to go and get myself a drink, if that's okay with you. And I've got one last spoonful of salad before it goes off. So let me just tuck into that. So I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to get a drink. Right. Okay. Well, Sigma end the Desmond Tutu. 3-2 to them. Late goal. It's a good strategy, the 2-2, but I tend to like to play it very, very late on, particularly if there's some late in play stats. You saw they hadn't turned up second half, so I didn't really lay the draw there. But 3-2 it is. 90th minute for Sigma Olomouc. Okay, just wet the whistle. And let's just do some catching up. Well done, Crystal Palace. Again, look how tight this is. Typical London derby, isn't it? Hope you're still okay here. Palace are 1-1. Yeah. There's a bit of a delay here, Ashley. It's probably a 20 or 30 second delay. Okay. So I have to tolerate that, I'm afraid. If we find a stream as good as this, I don't know how we can improve to make it up to date. But this is the best option I have, and it's important that I get an exposure on YouTube as well. So this is the only option. So please forgive me. It's about a 20 to 30 second delay. It's not going to affect too many trades. But what I will do, any of the urgent trades, time sensitive, I'll place on Telegram verbally, so you get them immediately. So Motherwell looking up okay at the moment. 5 shots on, 3 off, 8 corners. Really good reaction. Look how many corners I've had second half. Really good reaction to the red card. So another one just to make members aware of. So I'll do this on Telegram. Motherwell are in the Scottish League Cup playing Kilmarnock, who've been red carded. And unlike Portsmouth yesterday, been a good reaction. It's a 50th minute red card. Motherwell, 55th and 64th minute shots on target. 6 corners second half. 55 dangerous attacks to 19. Are you willing to lay the draw now at about evens? Or do you want to hold on for a little bit longer and see whether you can get even lower odds about the draw and see whether Motherwell can make sure
This market has been
they
suspended.
take account of that red card? It is a Scottish League Cup, so I'm a little tentative about it. And again, Motherwell and Kilmarnock, typical Sunday sides. They're not going to set the SPL alight, are they? But I'll leave it up to you. If you want to lay the draw now, that's fine. If you did lay the draw in the HJK Helsinki match, rather than waiting until the 60th minute, it's 0-2 to HJK, so you're guaranteed a near 100% return on that. So make sure you cash out at 0-2 on that one. Okay. So this could be one for a very late play. I'm just, as I keep saying, these are Sunday sides. They really are. Just not grabbing the attention, are they? Lazio and Venezia is the kind of match I would like to target late on. We know Lazio very well. We know the players, famous players. I don't know too much about Motherwell's strengths and weaknesses. St. Gallen, 1.02 is going to test again. 5-0, 7-0, 9-0, or 4-0, 6-0, 8-0. Just for a bit of fun, by the way. St. Gallen. I doubt the markets are liquid at all. So, there we go. Look, over 7.5, over 8.5 goals already, and it's still 0-0. So the market's confident, and these are a bit more liquid, as you can see, but offering no value whatsoever for them to be scoring 9 goals or more at 4.4. But you can't back them. They're unbackable. Oh, that's Lugano against that's Brule, St. Gallen against Lugano. I'm not too a bit confused with that. So I've got the wrong. This is the actual St. Gallen. Sorry, Malcantone. This is the actual St. Gallen. So let me just see if I can get the second St. Gallen up from the Super League. There we go. Malcantone. So again, totally illiquid, which is a real pity. Could have had some fun with this. The only alternative is to go with a bookmaker, but then you're going to be robbed, of course. They're going to be giving you odds which are totally ridiculous for such a feat as 8 goals or more. So we're flogging a dead horse with this Swiss Cup. Totally illiquid, which is a real pity. As if to emphasise their poor season, Hertha Berlin conceded against Hansa Rostock in the Cup. That's not one of the Cup matches I would focus on. I liked Mönchengladbach, Augsburg, and all of the other top flight sides. Ajax playing a bit later on against NEC Nijmegen. Must start winning. Quite simply, because PSV, Feyenoord winning easily. Copenhagen starting brightly. Just check whether they've got European competition. So we'll head off to Denmark. Down here. Just in case they underperform today, you've got to make sure that there isn't an extenuating circumstances why they might underperform. Indeed, Champions League, no, Conference League. Kilmarnock in the Champions League? I don't think so. Conference League, watch out next week. Away from home to Nordland. Could be vulnerable in between two interesting Conference League matches against Kilmarnock. Now, Kilmarnock red carded today. Will be keen to come out of this one unscathed, won't they? So, if I was them, I would be fielding a weaker side, particularly after the red card. Try to preserve yourself for a Conference League run. So just be careful. This is looking, take the rather inevitable 1-1 route again, isn't it? 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, and a Michael Elise 3-1. The only difference there. Brentford seem to be having far too many 1-1s. You've got the likes of
This market has been suspended.
Benfica and Watford. Zurich are making it 2-0. Grasshoppers 5-0. So you can see the shorties equal goals. So if you want to have a punt on those in the future, you're going to get a good run for your money, and you're going to get far better odds than 1.03 pre-match, which is 100 quid to win 3 quid. Well, looks like the market got Igdir absolutely spot on, didn't they? Newly promoted to the Turkish One League, and really solid performance so far. Brentford make it 2-1 against Crystal Palace. Welcome to London derbies. We might, just might, see a late Crystal Palace equaliser. You never know. But this is a typical opening match London derby. Would I have given you a 2-1 scoreline earlier on? I doubt it. I don't know much about the new Brentford team, though. Have they got any household names in? Ivan Toney arguably could be getting a full workout this season. I don't know who scored the second goal. Johan Wissa for Brentford. I don't know the Brentford team at all, really. But this is not a match I would have played. I would have played the potential for the 1-1 draw. And as you can see in the match odds, the best route would have been to take the green screen rather than load up profit on Crystal Palace. But if you do load up profit on Crystal Palace, you haven't lost any money. Carvalho, Fabio in. That's a really good signing. Wow. Thiago from Club Brugge. Which Thiago is that? Brazilian? The
This
man with
market has been suspended.
no face. So it's quite a good Brentford fixture list, isn't it? Transfer list. I'll just have a look at some more. Again, uk.soccerway.com. 0-3 to HJK. So that thing about Ekenes conceding heavily, 60th minute onwards, continues. 2 goals conceded, 60th minute plus. So do check out your in-play stats, and your goal times can give you a really good angle. So let's have a look at the team news again. Transfers in and out. Anything eye-catching? Well, they're already Fabio from Liverpool. Thiago from Club Brugge, 33 million. He must be quite handy. And all of the others I'm not too sure about. How about out? David Raya, the major absentee, 31 million to Arsenal. So pretty much unscathed, Brentford, and have certainly improved. I don't know if Thiago, is he a defender or he's an attacker? Yeah, indeed. So we've got a striker. So a good couple of signings for Brentford, and it looks to be paying off so far for them. Could be layable very, very, very late on, given Crystal Palace's goal-scoring record at the back end of last season. Motherwell and Killy, well, huffing and puffing, Motherwell, 82nd minute. Every minute you delay, the draw odds are getting lower and lower, as you can see. So that's a good sign. I like 1.25 and lower. Asking a lot of these teams to keep it at 0-0 till 1.25, but it's a really good entry point. KUPS have got a goal. So that's the 0-0. So next time, you've got 2 options if there's a 0-0 at half-time. Look at the conversion rate. 0-0, 2 0-0s at half-time at home, none at full-time. No 0-0s at half-time away, obviously none at full-time. And look at the goal times. Quite obvious bias towards Ekenes falling apart in the second half. So that should have been a more confident lay the draw for me, shouldn't it? Right at the off. Are they going to do it? Motherwell, 6 shots on, 6 shots off, 10 corners. The clock is not our friend. So let's have a look. And I've completely butchered the spelling of that, but it's brought it up. 1.56 for the draw. And again, there's going to be one obvious winner, isn't there? So you could always start drip backing like we did in that earlier match. But It's a bit too high for me because you're effectively playing out a 1 to 2 in liability, so it can really increase quickly, can't it? Alternatives, if you wanted to get a low liability entry point, maybe a 1-0 with a little play on the 2-0. That could be interesting, couldn't it? But the clock's not our friend. 84th minute, and as I say, the draw is in play in cup matches. Kilmarnock will be keen, I think, not to go to extra time with that Europa Conference League match upcoming next week. They'll want it done and dusted by 90 minutes. So we'll get rid of that one. Get rid of KUPS. Watch out for a potential late lay the draw. But it is a London derby, and as you know, you can get scorelines you weren't expecting, put it that way. 92 attacking pressure index for Bochum, Dano, 1.85. Bundesliga side, I believe. Are they still in the Bundesliga? But they're lighting up the in-play stats in the cup, and they'll want to have a competitive fixture as well. So let's have a look at Bochum. Are they still in the Bundesliga? I'm not sure if they went up or down. They were in the relegation zone. And they're playing a second tier. They're still in the Bundesliga, so they'll be delighted with that. Bochum. Playing second tier Jan Regensburg, so you'd think...
This market has been suspended.
You'd think that Bochum would be targeting a win here, and they're starting 88 attacking pressure index. When this gets to 100, it's normally a very good sign that a goal is going to come. 6 shots on target, beginning of the second half. 2 shots on target already. 1 shot off and 1 corner. So just the beginning of the second half. Keep an eye on this one. As I say, it's been an excellent competition. I don't think we've seen many 0-0s in the DBF Pokal this weekend. So the last one we laid the draw, Union Berlin, did get the single goal, second half. But a really good start from Bochum, one of the lower tier sides in the Bundesliga. Copenhagen, very rarely you get a 0-0 with Copenhagen. They were playing in the Conference League with Banacal Strava on the 15th of August. I'm not sure they're still in the competition. But we can check that out. I think we have already, haven't we? I'm not too sure. It's just to preempt any underperformance today. Yes, indeed, yeah, Kilmarnock, as I've looked at earlier. So any reason for a Copenhagen underperformance will be down to the distraction of Europa Conference League football. Wrexham newly promoted, as you know, so there won't be any recent head-to-heads at all. They're going to be found out by 1 or 2 of these League One sides, that's for sure. They started with a loss, 4-2 against Sheffield United. EFL Cup. 3-2 win against Wycombe. They'll be delighted with that, opening their account at home. Leading 2-0 at half-time, so they could be vulnerable, Wrexham, this season, if leading. Bolton beat Leyton Orient 1-2 in their opener in English League One. So we've got very little to work off. We've got a newly promoted side who could be targetable, so we'll keep an eye on that one. 87th minute, draw odds are getting to the kind of state now where it interests me. 1.25 and lower could be a good chance to show you how to drip lay. So what I would do, you're looking to win a fiver, so it will be a backer stake. I would start at 1.25 to win £5, liability £1.25. My next stop would be 1.19 to win a fiver, 95 pence liability. Next would be 1.14 to win a fiver, 70 pence liability. Now we can go under and we can increase our stake, 99 pence liability to win 11 quid. And the final piece of the pie, 1.06 to win 15 or 16 quid. whatever keeps you under the £1. Now, if all of those get matched and Motherwell score a late goal, you'll clean up. Or if any of these two score a late goal, you will clean up. You'll make about a 10-to-1 return. Keep your liability very low indeed, as you can see. Let me just show you that. So that's what I call drip laying. It's a very good technique. 1.25, 1.19, 1.14, 1.09, 1.06. So it gets you involved at all stages, and you'll start to see it getting matched as we head into 1.25 territory. And you can leave the match alone now. You don't have to worry about it. If a goal comes, a goal comes. If a goal doesn't come, you know your maximum loss is going to be about £3 or £4. So it's an excellent technique. I like it a lot. Just a quick swig of the drink. So getting to the stage, if you wanted to lay Brentford, well, by all means do. At 1.14 or lower. But it is London Derby, isn't it? Bochum look like they're waking up, don't they? 91. I did tell you, once they get to 100, there's a big possibility of them breaking through. Looking at Jan Regensburg, they're keeping them very quiet. Just the one shot on target. 2 shots off target. No corners second half. Compare that to Bochum. 1, 2, 3 shots on target. 1, 2, 3 shots off. And 2 corners. And more importantly, dominating the dangerous attacks. 32-8. 79 attacking pressure index. Similar story with Palace. It might be a late lay the draw of Brentford. We know Palace really do have some goals in them, don't we? So let's go to the Palace match and have a look at that one. So London derbies, I wouldn't take the results to heart at all. It's not indicative of anything at all. It's the best on the day in the London derby. So this is a good position if you fancied Palace. Otherwise, you take the green. You'd have made 30 quid there, wouldn't you? You could drip lay now, or you could use the profit you've got on Brentford to lay the draw. So be creative, as long as it doesn't cost you anything. Yes, you see, you're going to make a really good return if Palace score for very small risk or no risk at all. You're not out of pocket, and you could turn that draw into 40 quid, 50 quid. So that looks quite nice, doesn't it? I like that configuration. So that's 1.2, £1.20 on Brentford if they win. But a nice 49 quid if we get a late goal. Don't forget, this is a London derby. And Palace did have that reputation for goals, goals, goals. 75 attacking pressure index. The clock is Brentford's friend. 6 shots on 8 off at 7 corners. Well worth. Let's see if we can get 50 quid on that draw without it costing us any money. Motherwell coming to an end. 1.17. We've got the drip lay in. You'll start seeing them getting matched now in the Motherwell match. So let me just show you that. That's the great thing about drip laying. You can place these lays as late as whenever you want, really. And if you're lucky enough to get hit, which I've done I've had about 2 or 3 of all of these draws being placed and matched and the goal coming. So it does arrive. As you can see, the risk reward is very good as well. And the next stop will be under 1.1. This is where you win most of your money. If they get matched and you get that late goal from Motherwell. Will be an excellent return. Kilmarnock got other things in mind, like the Europa Conference League, so this is probably a match they really arguably didn't want.
This market has been suspended.
We've got a suspended market. Which match is that? Is it a Palace equaliser? Is it a Motherwell goal? Let's have a look. I haven't seen any goals come up on Football 24. Now, I'm missing the auditory alerts on Football 24 now. I don't know what's gone wrong there. It's been very good, the website. No, it must be the end of one of the other matches I was involved in. So while we're waiting for some late action, late possible action, really good opening win for Brentford, ending that 1-1 sequence, but still got that both teams to score sequence, which again, Enoch, if you're looking for both over 2.5 goal plays, head to head, both teams to score, that's 2 goals, isn't it? Out of the 3 that you want. So that's a possible as well. Head to heads. So I'll try to come up with a 2.5 goal shortlist
This has been suspended.
as the season progresses. Motherwell clock's not their friend. Still haven't got a goal. 0-0. Drip laying though. Maximum liability about £4. So let's look at some of the other matches. Half time with Copenhagen, but we now know they're involved in the Conference League. So can you trust them to score second half? They're not a side who do 0-0s ordinarily. They do tend to be very reliable. So we will keep an eye out on them second half, particularly if they concede first. That's what I mean by reliable sides. Really good stuff. 8 minutes into Ajax's season. Not the usual exodus you'll get from an Ajax team. You can get rid of St. Gallen. It's not a tradable match. And again, this is typical Sunday teams, aren't they? Moreirense and Arouca. I like Benfica, Sporting Lisbon, Braga, Porto, Guimarães even. Get rid of Egypt, Campeonato Gibraltar. Probably call it a day at 4 o'clock or 4:30. You might carry on through. But, we've tried to solve the both teams to score no issue. And the conclusion is, if it's an early goal, it's a really viable option, isn't it? Sporting Gijón, French League 2, Angers, and now again, couple. Angers, are they newly promoted? 18th of March 2023, the last head-to-head. So it suggests, I think, that Angers, newly promoted. Let's have a look. Angers. Again, you can just go back, and if it says French League 2, they are
It
newly
has been suspended.
promoted. Indeed. That's why Lens are strong favourites today.
This market has been suspended.
It's likely the end of the Premier League and the end of the Motherwell Kilmarnock match as well. Really good result for Brentford if it sticks.
This has been suspended.
No, we're not seeing any Motherwell goal. So watch out for Angers. They might be vulnerable today. They are at home. That will give them a bit of a booster. But they're a French League 2 side. So drip laying. This is your maximum liability, £4.85. Can you live with that? It's come in plenty of times, and it will come in on a few more occasions this season. So that's the kind of liability I'm after. Drip lay Motherwell equals low liability. Well done to Brentford getting the win, but I wouldn't be pressing the alarm bells yet. Crystal Palace, as I keep repeating, London derby. So I hope you're all doing okay at YouTube. Oh, Robert laid the draw. Well done. Good stuff. So let's just see what's upcoming. on what is a relatively quiet Sunday, as is typical. You're going to see a lot of these Sundays like this where I'm just going to be too cautious, really, particularly opening day of the season. But as you've seen, we've had plenty of opportunities to trade on a Saturday, and indeed some of the midweek ones as well have been pretty good. Chelsea Man City, very tough to read. It's all about team news, isn't it? Particularly for Chelsea. I think there's been some memes going round with the amount of players that Chelsea have bought. I think somebody must have found Roman Abramovich's wallet behind a settee or something. So again, you can look at the teams for Chelsea, the transfers in and out. Pedro Neto, 60 million from Wolves. Wow. They're splashing the cash. Anselminho from Boca, Jorgensen from Villarreal, Wiley from Atalanta United, Dewsbury Hall, well-known name from Leicester City, and Kellyman from Aston Villa are the big names. Romelu Lukaku, I think he must be out on loan, isn't it, still to Roma. But interesting. Pedro Neto is what really made Wolves tick, wasn't it, last season? Out, 108 million out. Maatsen to Aston Villa, Hutchinson to Ipswich, and Diego Moreira to Strasbourg. So we've got a lot of loanees as well. So I don't know what to make of these players. I don't know their strengths or weaknesses, but we will see. Man City, relatively quiet. If you look at the transfers in and out. Savinho from Estac Troyes. Now, this is one of these sides who are affiliated to Manchester City, along with Girona. So you're going to be seeing Manchester City plunder the best talent from those two leagues, two teams. Echeverri from River Plate. Out. That's the big one. Julian Alvarez, brilliant player. Delap to Ipswich. Sergio Gomez. So some of the peripheral players are out. But that is the huge absentee, Julian Alvarez, to Atletico. Wonder if they're going to be vying for the title this season. Perennial third. And Bochum have conceded first against Jan Regensburg. That's not quite what the stats were suggesting, is it? Again, can we experiment here? 1.85 pre-match. So they're not quite in keeping with the kind of odds we've got from our tradable Bundesliga sides. Let me show you yesterday, for example. And you'll see the difference. The DBF Pokal. Let's see if I can find that somewhere. So many matches. DBF Pokal. There we go. So compare that 1.85 pre-match to 1.33, 1.06. That was a trade. That was a trade. 1.17 Leipzig. Union Berlin laying the draw second half, 1.17. So not quite 1.85. So as you'll learn, you've got to respect the market. It just tells the story, doesn't it? 1.85. Not 100% confident in Bochum. And it's suggesting it's more of a well-matched match than the big boys had yesterday. So I'm quite happy to not give this one a go. The neutral players, if they laid the draw, you'd have to cash out. So we can have a look at the Bochum match. Bochum. Both teams are scoring home. I don't know if we continue with that. Well, it's 1.59, so it's odds on. Wouldn't be backing that at odds on. The best value will probably be to back Bochum at 17s. If you want to keep your liability low. Now, what you'll need from Bochum will just be a quick goal. If you want to play at all, you don't have to play, of course. There's no reason for you to play. If you're not wholly confident, it's not as confident as Mainz, Hoffenheim, Mönchengladbach, Leipzig conceding first. Nowhere near that confidence, but keep an eye out on their in-play stats. We'll see whether you can get low odds about Jan Regensburg or big odds about Bochum. They're at 17s now, so just a little bit like that. I'll give you an interest. If they can get a quick equaliser, it's the 69th minute, there's 20 minutes to go. If they can get one goal before the 80th minute, then we might get some change out of that. But do keep your liability extra low, because they're not one of the strong favourites that we've been profiting from this weekend. This is what I'm talking about. Look, 1.09, 5-0. So that's something for you, Enoch, for your search for over 2.5 goals. Have a look at the odds. Soccer24.com is a place for short odds. What you can do, you can have a look at yesterday or the day before. Focus particularly on, let's say, 1.3 and lower favourites and see how many goals there were in those matches. Is there a pattern? So let's just, well, it's a little quiet. Take a little look through. 1.33, 5-1. So that would have worked nicely. Check, see if there's any first half goals, because that will bring in over 2.5 goals as a trade, won't it? Any others? And you could have delayed here as well. So if you can get 15 or 20 minutes out of the match at 0-0, you're going to get even bigger odds for over 2.5 goals, aren't you? So that was 1.33. So I'll be looking at 1.3 or thereabouts and lower, seeing whether they can consistently bring us over 2.5 goals. So the next one, well, not many of them on the Friday, were there? So 1.36, again, another over 2.5 goal. Were there any first half goals here? Another 2. Had you waited 20 minutes, you'd have been lost on this one, which is a bit of a pity. But it does show you, doesn't it? If you can find a pattern, and if you can get good enough odds for over 2.5 goals, then you might be onto something. So that's 2 out of 2 at 1.3 and lower. 1.17 should be 3 or more goals. Did we get any goals before half time? We got 2. But again, if you're delayed, you wouldn't have been rewarded here. St. Gallen already 0-3 up after 36 minutes. So that's what I'm saying about these shorties. Try to look for 5-0, 7-0, 9-0, or 4-0, 6-0, 8-0. So that's 3 out of 3 so far. 1.3 and lower. Well, that's just pushing it out a bit. 1.37, but that's 5 goals there. Look also for the leagues. If you notice consistent goals in leagues, consistent both teams to score in leagues. It could even be these dodgy lower tiers. I don't touch these lower leagues, but you might want to look at that, at least from the bookmakers, backing over 2.5 goals. You won't be able to trade on Betfair. There we go, 1.22 shot, 6 goals there. So that's 4 out of 4. But it's all a matter of the kind of odds you'll get. This one didn't quite come in, but then we've got a red card, which will dampen enthusiasm, won't it? That will kill it off, the red card. You can't legislate for red cards, I'm afraid. So this is a good league for over 2.5 goals. Enoch as well. English Premier League 2. 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 3, 7, 2. All about when the goals were scored as well, as there's only 2 goals. Well, second half, you've probably got a losing over 2.5 goal trade on that one. Professional Development League as well. Normally, plenty of goals in that one. And we've got Poulsen have conceded the first goal. So that's just a quick look there for you, Enoch. And don't forget, footballtradingprofits.com, the e-letter, is free to read. I've given you some ideas here as well, if you fancy that. So I'll just get Soccer24 up, and we're going to have a look at Poulsen. As I say, Sparta Prague, Slavia Prague, and Poulsen tend to be very reliable in the Czech 1 League, called the Czech Chance League now. And these kind of odds configuration suggests that the favourite has conceded the first goal. You can see that 1.53. Just check again. Are they involved in Europe? So where are we going? Czech Republic. Poulsen and Ceska Budějovice. Head-to-heads, just in case it's a bogey side for Poulsen. Well, 5-0. Well, they've scored 10 goals in the last 2 head-to-heads. I don't think they are a bogey side for Poulsen. Check European club competition as well. And the great thing about this website is, rather than these previews disappearing as soon as it's kickoff, you've still got the previews here at uk.soccerway.com. So do please have a read of these, particularly if the favourite concedes first. So that's a really good addition for uk.soccerway.com. Europa League for Poulsen on the 22nd against Hearts. So again, just dampens the enthusiasm a little bit. They might underperform today, particularly in an away match prior to a European fixture. So ordinarily you'd jump on this, and this could be a good example of both teams to score no, couldn't it? If that goal stands. So let me just, no, it's been disallowed. What a pity. An early goal like this, 7th minute, would be great for both teams to score no, because the odds would be really short. So, Cole Palmer is one I like. Indeed. Brilliant player. Tell Gareth Southgate that, though. Oh, Mr. Waistcoat kept him on the bench. So let's just have a look at some other matches. I'll call it a day, probably 4. It's been a long afternoon. Moreirense and Arouca, just to star that one. Gaius and Halmstad, 1.45 leading 2-0. So I think that's done and dusted. Beginning of the Spanish Segunda season, it's a very good league to follow. Levante, I believe, are they not relegated last season? Or Leganes, one of those two. But we can check that out straight away. Spanish La Liga 2. We just want to make sure we know our newly promoted and newly relegated, because if they're newly promoted, they could be vulnerable. If they're newly relegated, they could dominate the league. As you can see, Segunda Division. So possibility of both of these sides. No, the best way to look at it is here, isn't it? So let's go. No, let's go to Spain. Spanish La Liga 2. This is the quickest way to look at last season, H to H, and go before the friendlies, the CFs. You'll see La Liga 2 for Gijón and La Liga 2 for Levante. So I think Levante were relegated a couple of seasons ago and they haven't got out. They're a very familiar name from the top flight. Obviously, they're not relegated this time. Moreirense standing out here, aren't they? 2 evens pre-match favourites, head-to-heads, 1-0 win and a 0-1 win. So 2 consecutive 1-0 wins in the Primera Liga. 1-1 at the moment. An early goal for Arouca responded to by Moreirense. They look to be dominating this. Again, I would describe them as Sunday teams, mid-table in the Primera Liga, and not the most compelling or trustable sides, are they? Looking at Angers being vulnerable today against Lens. You can check where Lens finished last season. So we go to French League 1, 2023-2024. And we can just have a look at where Lens finished last season and what their strengths and weaknesses were, at least in the challenge table. Top 7 side, Lens, so Angers could realistically struggle today, couldn't they? They might do an Ipswich, might keep it quiet for the first half, but then suddenly they just get outdone. Lens last year outside of the top 5. This looks like a bogey side for them. So that was the only set of defeats against ninth and lower. And we're assuming Angers are going to be in the bottom half. So a pretty good for Lens last season. Far better at home than away, only marginally so, but against the bottom half sides, very, very solid indeed. Only conceded that 2 goals once, and that was against bogey side Metz, against ninth and lower. So we've got an inference here that it tends to be the big guns that Lens can't quite get past, particularly away from home. Angers, well, there's very little to gain from looking at Angers last season because it was playing against French Ligue 2 sides. So I don't see the point in looking to last season's form as any suggestion of what they could do this season. It's pointless. They're playing a weaker set of opponents consistently throughout the season. Finishing second, of course, and going up. See whether they had a specific pattern at home. And the fact that they struggled at home against the top 3 suggests they could struggle at home against a newly promoted, in French Ligue 1, against a top 7 side in French Ligue 1. So that could be indicative of struggles ahead for Angers, conceding 5 goals in 2 matches against the top 3. Saint-Etienne, I believe, are in the top flight now as well. So a very interesting match. We've got an idea that Angers are going to be vulnerable, but you never know. Opening match of the season, newly promoted, at home, could set out to frustrate, could gain some benefit from home support, but might end up with that Ipswich-like naivety in the second half. That would be something to look at, I think. Kerry should be vulnerable today, but it is the FAI Cup. Portuguese 3 League, I'm not going to go as low as that. Whistler Plock, strong favourites in the 1 League. I think they've been relegated again. Another side relegated. Got to get used to doing this route because this is the quickest route to finding newly promoted and newly relegated last season. The fact that they're strong favourite suggests they were relegated last season, but we will see. Division 1, so they were here. Whistler Plock. And right, they're both Division 1. Division 2, Pogon. So their opponents are newly promoted. So yet again, we've got a potentially targetable away side. That's Angers and Pogon, potentially gettable. And indeed, the market's factored that in as well, haven't they? So that's good. I like those kind of angles in. We've got an automatic side to be with, haven't we? So it'll be interesting if the newly promoted sides score first, won't it? Norwegian Elite Serie, not researching that anymore. With the we've got far too many quality leagues. We don't have to waste time researching, but I will research in play if there's a compelling set of in-play stats. Volendam and Emmen, 2.5 the favourite. Again, a reminder to you, very tough match to call. Volendam and Emmen. I think one of these two is newly promoted. We can have a look. Volendam and Emmen. So we've got Suarez. We're looking at head-to-heads from last season. That's Eredivisie. Okay. And Eredivisie. So they're both in the top flight last season. and this is a top flight. Oh, this is the Eerste Divisie, so they're both newly relegated. So 2 seasons ago, the 2 newly relegated sides, Heracles and Pek Zwolle, finished first and second. So that's what you'll be looking to see whether these two can do. Volendam and Emmen. See if I can go back a couple of seasons ago and show you that. This is a great example of newly relegated dominating the leagues. Look at this. Look at the gap between them and the 3rd place. Newly relegated in this particular season. Newly relegated. Lost only 7 matches throughout. Identical. Look at the goal difference as well. Plus 61, plus 56. That's why I tell you to look for newly relegated sides. Call it the Newcastle factor. Remember when they went into the Championship under Chris Hughton? Absolutely bossed it. Straight back up. So you've got 2 sides to look at, Volendam and Emmen. Probably not today. It's probably going to be a cancel each other out day today. But against the regulars in the Eerste Divisie, they could do a Heracles and Zwolle. So that'll be interesting to see, won't it, this season? Probably not worth a look at in what is a derby-style match. 2 newly relegated sides could find each other good company. French Ligue 1, Montpellier and Strasbourg. It's a tough league. I would equate the French Ligue 1 to the English Championship in being a very tough league outside of Paris Saint-Germain, Monaco, et al. It's a very tough league, very competitive. A lot of unknown factors as well. It's very hard to read, I've found. Bulgarian 2nd League I won't be playing at all, so we'll get rid of that. So we'll just get rid of Bulgaria, the old uncle. So I'm probably going to be winding down soon. Austrian Bundesliga, well worth following today. Already Austria Vienna scored first against Hartberg. Up in Vienna, strong favourites against Swarovski Tyrol on the coupon as Wattens. So watch out for that. A couple of other difficult to call matches. 2.4 the favourite. Very tough to read that one. Standard Liège and Eupen. Well, it's already a lead for Eupen. And it's not Standard Liège, so it's a 2nd tier, so I won't be playing that one. Standard Liège have had a good start to the season. Looks like they've been working on that defence this season. Now you saw KUPS and HJK far more readable in the Viscountliga earlier on today, but these two, no thank you. But VPS are vying. I think they were vying for the title, or there or thereabouts, but they've got a bit of a poor run at the moment. Again, when you've got elite football, you don't really need to worry about these other leagues anymore. Or you can put them on the back burner at least, or at least pick the quality. Really strong candidates, like that Ekenas earlier on. So I think with it winding down just a little bit now, I'm going to say goodbye to you. I've been at it since 1:30. I'll still be on Telegram for you following a few matches. But I would tell you to look out for an underperformance from Angers and look out for a struggle from Pogon, newly promoted. See whether the market gets these two correct. Poulsen have conceded already. They're involved in Europe next week. Is that going to find them out today? Like Sparta Prague, like Slavia Prague, they're normally very, very reliable if conceding first. So I'll be looking out for that. I'm going to wind it down now. Thanks very much for attending. I'm glad I've found a decent stats streaming feed. Cheers, Enoch. If you've got any questions at all, Enoch, there's a comment section at footballtradingprofits.com. Please get in touch. Or you can email me through this YouTube channel if you've got any questions at all, just fire them away. Thanks very much for coming along. I will be on Telegram for members from now till probably about 7 or 8 o'clock if there's decent football to hand. Thanks very much, Tim, and everybody else. I'm glad this stream has been a lot more calming than yesterday's, and this is where I'll be going from now on. There's only a very small delay. It's just something we have to live with. Thanks very much, everybody. I will try to find a way to slow this down now, to turn this off. Have a great day, and members, I'll see you on Telegram for the rest of the evening.